things in motion. Okay, Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to come into the lives of all these wonderful people. We ask that you guide all our words today, you guide all our proceedings, you take control of the lines, you take control of the internet, you take control of all the technical issues that could possibly interfere with what we're trying to deliver. We ask that by your grace and your favor, that the information that we impart today will be well received, and that people may be uplifted, inspired, and empowered by the wisdom that you've imparted into your son and your servant, that they may continue to see the good works we do and glorify my Father in heaven. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray. Amen. Okay, let's kick off and get started with today's session. I'm going to start by sharing my screen and make sure that everything is available for you to see. Partaking, right. Back one. Okay, let me see if I can share this. No. Okay, that's the one. So share the right one for today. Okay, let's call it screen. Okay, 1 second, let's make sure it's here. Oh, here we go. Right. I found you, you're trying to hide from me. Okay, got you. Okay, let's go to the top. Alrighty, can everybody see my screen? Can you see my screen? Thank you. Is that not Carol? Thank you. Okay, excellent. It's good I can see people's faces. Yeah, so sometimes I can't hear you, at least if I can see you, then I know you give me a good quick nod. Okay, fantastic. So, welcome to today's presentation today on water. We are Viva Nutrients. Our vision is about promoting freedom through well-being. Our mission is to achieve 1 million health ambassadors. This means by people who have attained the level of freedom through well-being through going through one of our programs or taking advantage of the information we share in these webinars and applying the information into their lives, or maybe acquiring the tools, and through the use of those tools and the knowledge that they've acquired, for them to be able to attain a level of freedom through well-being, as in, freedom from sickness, freedom from disease, or freedom from any kind of infirmity. Our values are being honest, caring, and empowering, which we seek to do in everything that we do. We always try to make sure the information we provide is honest and true. We're always very caring because we go out of our way to make sure that information is available, and we do it free of charge. And the objective is to make sure we empower you with the knowledge and the tools and the information. Okay, if you want to get in touch with us as a result of anything you see today, you want to follow up on anything you may want further information on, or you may want to book a scan or book a consultation, these are the contact details for you to take a note of. We always do it at the beginning and at the end to make sure if people do miss out, it's always there available, especially when you want to see the replay. You can email me at edward.vivanutrients@gmail.com. You can visit our website at vivanutrients.com. All the information and the products that we talk about today, we're going to talk about a few, will be available on the website. We also have our Instagram page where we'd love and invite you to follow us on Instagram. And we have our YouTube where all the info, someone's touching the screen. Oh no, iPhone. Right, I need to find that person, whoever's iPhone, because I don't want that to keep destroying the screen. Let me find that person. Someone's touching the screen and it's causing the lines to start to appear. Okay, YouTube, you can find us on YouTube where all the information we share is available after today's recording. You'll be able to access it probably tomorrow. I should have put our Healing Rooms Telegram group. We also have a Telegram group on Telegram called the Healing Rooms as well. Healing Rooms, cutting edge health information. It's a very powerful group. We share a lot of recipes, we share a lot of tips and tricks on how you can improve your health. We share the latest technology, we share the latest tools that are available, and our latest innovations are always released in our Telegram group called the Healing Rooms. Okay, so today's subject is water for life. We're going to be talking about the purpose and benefits of water. We're going to be looking at how much we actually need to drink, because I know a lot of people have some misconceptions around how much water they should actually be taking in on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet around the actual intake of water, and they put a lot of standard figures or standardized doses that I'm not quite sure if they are what they're based on. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later on. We look at if your intake of water is feeding disease or if indeed it's fighting disease. You really want to know if your intake of water is feeding disease or fighting disease, because often we do things with our health without knowing that we're actually damaging it, not realizing the impact of how we are approaching, especially things like water, and especially more importantly, the misunderstanding of how to use it to its proper advantage. Okay, then we have to look at the best types of water, because I know people ask me many times, what's the best type of water? Aaron, what's the best type of water? What should I be drinking? What's the best type, etc., etc. So we're going to look at the best types of water for you to be drinking to get maximum benefit and obviously maximum hydration. And then lastly, we are going to look at recommendations, my recommendations on how you can improve your intakes. I know there are many different reasons why people don't like drinking water, but we're going to really give you some powerful tips and tools that you can use to increase your water quite creatively. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick intro because I'm loving the use of technology, and we've really found technology can really help us with a lot of the things that we do in health. So we have a lot of new people joining today, and every time we do a webinar, we always get new people. So sometimes it's easier for people to see things visually than to take it in audibly. So I'm going to give you a bit of both by giving you a quick short intro into who we are and what we do. Now I can see you, Carol. So hopefully if you can hear it once we start it and you can see everything moving, just give me a quick nod. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's try this. Okay. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Thank you. My name is Aaron Warden. I'm a nutritional therapist here at Vivo Nutrients. What we do here is we combine cutting-edge technology along with cleansing, detox, and lifestyle change. The cutting-edge technology is a non-invasive scan we do that has a conversation with your body through your hand. Your body speaks through the software and provides a detailed report that highlights the level of stress on all your organs. So things like your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, your brain, your breast, your bowels, your blood, your hormones, everything comes up on the scan, and your body makes recommendations on what it needs to bring it back into balance. Once you've got that information, we can
the sound's gone.
Structure a bespoke lifestyle change program where we would incorporate a level of detoxing, cleanses, dietary changes, things that will help you to improve your in your interior. And once the body internally is improved, then it has an impact on your body all over. It has an impact on your hair, it impacts on your skin, it impacts on your nails, it impacts on your joints, back pain, joint pains, all those sort of things just tend to just spontaneously heal by themselves.
This technology helps us a lot to educate our clients so they can take control of their health and their diet and their lifestyle.
It was really interesting to see that the scan picked up the imbalances, and I could see very clearly the areas that I need to work on. So I got to have a complete detox, yeah?
I learned a lot about my body today and where I am in terms of my health. A lot of surprises, good feed.
Oh, so sorry.
interesting to see that the scan picked up the imbalances, and I could see very clearly the areas that I need to work on. So I got to have a complete detox, yeah?
I learned a lot about my body today and where I am in terms of my health. A lot of surprises, good feedback, sort of understand now the way forward, and I'm looking forward to working with Charlotte and the team.
I recommend this to anyone. I've gone around my life feeling that I'm okay, but actually from doing the scan, there's a lot of improvements that I can make.
I eat well, but clearly there are some issues, and the scan helped to reveal those. And I clearly have some work to do. I would recommend everyone do the bioscan at least once a year.
Okay, thank you so much. That is our V card and our bespoke introduction that we use. It's a lot easier than sometimes explaining it. So we find it easier just to let people see and hear, and obviously get a little bit of an overview of what we do and the perspective from people who have utilized our service. Okay, so thank you very much to Bev. Bev is such a character. I love Bev. She's gonna have a complete detox. But you know, since the day she made that video, she has really completely transformed herself and transformed her health. If you saw her today, you would be completely, utterly shocked at how she looks. She's lost so much weight. She's improved her skin. Her health is at such a optimum level. You would just think she's a shadow of her former self. So we love sharing that particular part of the V card, just so that when people see her, those that know her will be able to see the amazing transformation. And all that she's achieved has been as a result of some of the things that we're going to share and talk about today. So we always approach health from a perspective of utilizing nutrition. We use nature and we use the tools that God has provided us to nourish, nurture, and to heal and repair the body. So we're going to look at 7 major categories of nutrients, which are proteins. We use a lot of fats, carbohydrates. You use a lot of fiber to help to move things through your body, move things through your colon. Once you've eaten the right foods, you can make sure you can eliminate them correctly. Vitamins are key, because obviously every time you have a meal, your body's digestive process is really interested in, or mainly focusing on, extracting the vitamins from your food, so they can use that to replenish your cells and nourish your tissues. And of course, minerals, which we should get from the earth, from the soil. Minerals are really key to a multiple of functions, cellular functions, and in terms of your immune system relies heavily on the resources that are provided from minerals, trace elements such as iron for the transportation of oxygen, calcium, magnesium for managing the balance of your pH in your blood. There are so many minerals that are required from the soil that your body really utilizes in the maintenance of your body, your immune system, and indeed your health. But today, there's one major nutrient that maybe people may underestimate that is actually nutrient, is water. So we're really going to be speaking about water today and the power of water, and how it can really majorly impact your health, impact your condition if you have a condition, and even prevent conditions that you have currently from worsening. We've seen some amazing results with using water in the transformation of people's health. Many conditions have been impacted very positively just by incorporating water in the right dosage and using the right way. Things like diabetes, high blood pressure, weight loss, skin issues, hair issues, eye problems. So many things that we'll touch on as we go through today's presentation. So make sure you stay tuned, and if you have got a pen and pad available, try and make sure you take some notes, because we are going to share quite a few very important nuggets. So let's start off with some nuggets now. Let's start off with some of the key areas and some useful information that you may or may not be aware of in relation to water. So I'm going to switch over to full screen now so that we can really get the fullness of today's presentation and the images and the information that they'll contain. So let me switch over to slideshow from the current slide. Okay. Okay. Right. So we've gone through that, make sure the functions are working okay. Okay, that's working fine. Right, so let's get some did you knows. Did you know that water is one of the most important commodities on the planet? It's one of the most important commodities on the planet, but yet 97% of the world's water is salty or otherwise undrinkable. Did you know that? So let me make sure I can get my little mouse to do what it should be doing. I love using this fancy technology, but it's very good when it works. Okay, if it doesn't, I'll have to go back to the former. Aha, okay, we'll do it that way. Okay, 97% of the world's water is salty or otherwise undrinkable. So majority of the water on the planet is actually salt, as in the waters, in the seas and the oceans. 97% of the water that is available to us, we cannot actually use. 2% of it is stored in glaciers and in the ice caps. So there's a lot of water in those glaciers and ice caps. So if they were to have a major incident with the global warming, this could result in some severe flooding and catastrophes across the globe. That only leaves 1% left for humanity's needs. So we're only left to work with just 1% of the available water on the planet is what we use for water reclamation, to recycle, to cleanse, and to provide our municipal and social needs through our water systems and our water providers. And this is some of the things that we're going to touch on today in how well these water systems, this 1% of water, is actually made available and how much of it is actually safe for human consumption, and how well we can use the ones that are in the right condition to really start to improve our health. So let's look at some fun facts on water. We're still on the did you knows. Did you know that your muscles are 74% water? 74% of your muscles are water.
I can't see the screen. There's nothing on there apart from the heading.
Did you say something on the screen?
There's only the heading. We can't see the slides.
Okay, it's coming. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. Okay, 83% of our blood is made up of 83% of water. The blood is actually 83% water. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't realize that your blood is mainly water. So because your cells are made up of mainly water, when you drink, you're actually replenishing your blood. You're actually replenishing your blood vessels and your body's ability to make new blood. So 83% of our blood is made up of water. As we said earlier, 70% of the planet is made up of water, 70% of the planet, but 97% of it is actually unusable. So 70% of our planet is surrounded by water. This is just to give you some indication on how powerful and how important water is to the survival and the makeup of our actual planet that surrounds us. But the most important one that I really wanted to share today, because we touched on it last week a little bit more when we were talking about sleep, is the fact that your brain is 76% water. 76% of your brain is made up of water. So when you look at all these matrix as a whole, and you look at how the body is composed, 74% of the body being water, or the body being made up, or 74% of the muscles, sorry, being made up of water, that shows that your muscles have a huge requirement for water in order for them to perform their daily function. And another interesting fact that you may or may not be aware of is that whatever happens to muscles will affect all parts of your body. So because your muscles are 74% water, your increase in water will impact your muscular function And muscles control everything. Now, muscles control your lungs, muscles control your throat, muscles control your legs, your arms, your eyes. You have a muscle or a group of muscles that control almost every function in your body. Therefore, there is a very intrinsic need to make sure you maintain stable levels of water for every single ordinary function of your body. But the key one that you may not be aware of is that your heart is also a muscle. The heart is also a muscle. So whatever affects the muscles of the body will also affect the heart. So this is why you'll see footballers, for example, where they maybe have a long match, 90-minute game, and then they go into extra time. And when they have extra time, they normally pull up with cramp and they freeze up, they flop down. My leg can't move. The leg's frozen, legs locked because the lactic acid has built up so much in the muscles that the muscles have now seized up. When that happens to your heart, guess what that is? That's what you call a heart attack. So heart attacks are similarly linked to your water intake, and if you, especially with the deficiency of water in the heart, could also lead to the heart building up too much lactic acid and then starting to lock up like the muscles will do after a long game. If the game's gone on too long, the muscles start to contract. If the heart is working too hard without the necessary resources, the heart can also have a heart attack. It can also start to lock up and gain cramp. So when a footballer has cramp, the first thing they do is they chuck loads of water bottles on the pitch to really get them to start hydrating themselves. So these are things that you can see and use to really start to help to recognize the importance of including or increasing your water intake, just even to keep your heart healthy. Okay, so being that be the case that so many parts of our body are made up of water, and there's so many things that the body actually does with water, that begs the question, so why do we need water? You think the answer will be obvious, right? Why do we need water? Well, firstly, to answer that question, let's look at what water does for you, what it does for the body. Water is needed by the brain, as you mentioned earlier. It's very important for the brain function because the brain is 83% water, as you said earlier. And also, it's needed by the brain to produce and manufacture hormones. And these hormones and neurotransmitters are the signals that the body produces, at least 1 million per second, not per minute, not per hour, per second. They produce these neurotransmitters. These are signals that the brain is constantly sending to different parts of the body, different muscle groups to keep you standing, to keep your eyes open, to keep your lungs breathing. These are all controlled by the brain. So the brain needs water to manufacture these hormones and to keep the good production of these neurotransmitters. It also helps to form saliva for your digestion. So when you're talking, you use a lot of water through talking. It keeps the mucous membranes moist. It keeps your body cells to grow and reproduce so they can survive. So your cells, obviously, as I said, they also need a lot of water to keep doing what they're meant to do.
Sorry, Juice Doctor. Is the screen? We're not seeing anything on the screen. We only see the title. We're not seeing anything. Are we supposed to see something?
You should be able to see everything. Can you see everything?
No, we're not. We only see this says there are 7 major categories of nutrients, and that's it. So that's it on the page.
Oh, really? Okay. You can't see water. Why do we need water? You can't see that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. Thank you so much for that, Yvonne. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna go back to using the non-slideshow version so that we can make sure we can keep everything visible. Okay, so let me just get out of there. Let me escape from that. Okay, so let me escape. Oops, no, I don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment and then I'll start sharing again so that you can see everything. Right, I'm gonna start to share my screen again. So hopefully everything should come through fine this time. And then I'll just leave it like this. Can you see it now? Can you see everything now? Can you see everything now, Yvonne?
Yes, I know.
Okay, what can you see on the screen?
Now we can see your water slide.
Aha, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, so let's go back to where we were. Did you see this slide before? Have you seen this slide before with the muscles? The planet?
Not in full screen.
Okay,
Now.
you can see it now. Okay, so this is the
Yeah.
one that we covered just before. So you can, if you want to take a picture, just so you can have those fun facts, you can take a picture of the screen or do a screenshot. And let me leave it for a couple of seconds, and then we'll move on to why do we need water. And then we're currently on the slide where we're talking about what water actually does for the body and in the body. So let's move on to that slide. Okay, so it also very important to have the right amount of water to flush waste from your body. If you don't have enough water, your body's ability to remove waste is going to be greatly reduced and very adversely impacted, which could lead to a lot of further problems with blockage in your bowels, with waste that's not been eliminated properly, which will lead to a buildup of bacteria, which will then start to lead to an increase in toxins. Toxins start to infect your tissues, they start to infect your blood, they start to infect your organs. It will lead to things like pain, it will lead to things like inflammation, joint issues, and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure you really understand the importance of keeping water very well stocked up in your body, even if it's just for the removal of your waste, because we eat a lot of food and we can't stop toxins from coming in, but we can prevent them from accumulating in our system by making sure our waste or elimination systems are well serviced and hydrated. It's also needed to regulate the temperature, just like when you drive a car. If you have a car and your vehicle doesn't have the right amount of water, your car may well overheat. So women that are suffering things like flushes, hot flushes, you can see the impact of the relationship between water and maybe hot flushes, because you can see your hormones require a lot of water, and your body temperature also requires a lot of water. So these are two little giveaways that you may also want to take away from today, especially if you're suffering with things like hot flushes. It's a shock absorber. Now, this is really important. Water acts as a shock absorber for the brain and the spinal cord. Now, many people suffer with back pain, different types of back pain, chronic back pain, sciatica, slip discs. And what they don't realize, and what we will share with you today, is how easy it is to remedy those type of conditions. If you're suffering with back pain, we're going to show you how you can eliminate your back pain without the need for an operation, without the need for painkillers, without the need for Nurofen, without the need for any of those, ibuprofen or any of those, painkillers that only serve to make your cells become more dehydrated. We're going to show you some really simple and easy ways to eliminate your back pain and get rid of that sciatica, even within a matter of days, literally. So it's a shock absorber for your brain and spinal cord that we'll cover a little bit later on as we proceed. Now, water also converts food to components needed for survival and for digestion. You need water to remove nutrients you need water to remove nutrients into the cells, and you also need water to remove waste out of the cells. So water is required for that process at so many junctions. And lastly, but not least, it helps to deliver oxygen to the body. Water is very much needed to deliver oxygen to all parts of the body, because water, as you know, is H2O. So it has that oxygen molecule that the body will take, and we'll show you how the body absorbs water through the stomach to actually distribute it into the blood for it to get where it needs to get to perform its job. So now we have a better understanding as to why we need water. The next question people ask very often is, how much water do we need to drink a day? How much water should I be drinking a day? Now, as I said, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet telling you about 8 glasses for women and 10 glasses for men, or 5 glasses. That is absolute nonsense. I don't know who purported that theory. Maybe it was Jamie Oliver. I don't know. He's good at food, but I don't know what he has to do with water. But at least, I guess, maybe they have to try something to give people some level of measure. But your water intake is not some figure they pluck out of the air on the internet and tell you that you've got to drink 8 glasses. If you think drinking 8 glasses of water as a woman is enough, it's a lie. The reason why I'll debunk that myth straight away is because if, for example, you had a man or a woman that was, let's say, 6'3", like some of those big women in America, and you had another woman that was, I don't know, 4 foot or 5 foot nothing, are they both going to survive on the same amount of water? Are they both going to have the same amount of water requirement? If someone who's 6'3" or 6'4" and someone who's 5 foot nothing, even their muscle composition is going to be greatly different. So their requirement for their water, even just to feed their muscles, is going to have a huge disparity. So if they're saying that both those women will survive or get by on 8 glasses of water, then that's a misconception and gravely misinformation. There's a lot of people are being misinformed by information. So don't always believe everything you read on the internet. So now we know what you shouldn't use as a measure. Let's look at what you should use as a measure for your water intake. Your water intake is going to depend greatly on your water usage. So i.e., let's say, for example, that same woman who's 5'4" or 5 foot nothing, she's a teacher. Now, if she's a teacher, she's going to be speaking all day. She's going to be speaking to students, she's going to be talking, she's going to be answering questions, she's going to be asking questions, she'll be delivering information. Now, even though, and let's say that the 6'4" woman, she sits down, I don't know, as a librarian. She doesn't speak to anybody because you've got to keep quiet in that environment. So the 5'4" woman who's teaching, or 5 foot nothing, who's teaching all day, spending a lot of time using a lot of water, using a lot of saliva, she's using a lot of power, a lot of water for her muscles, because she has to keep her in that standing position all day. That's going to require a lot of water to maintain all those muscle groups that are responsible for keeping her standing, keeping her walking around the classroom, meeting pupils, etc. Then let's say she goes to the gym in the evening. Now, let's put the gym aside for a minute. Just her usage of talking all day, standing, walking around, moving around, using her muscles, using her lungs, the use of her saliva is already going to take her usage past the lady who's 6'4", who's sitting down in the library speaking to nobody. She's not on the phone, she's got no friends on Facebook, she's got no WhatsApp, she just sits there, speaks to no one. Her usage, the teacher's usage, will be far greater than the 6'4" lady librarian. So in the same token, somebody who does exercise, let's say that same teacher, she exercises after school. She's going to go and do some yoga, or she's going to do some stretching, or she's going to go to the gym, or she's going to go for a run. Again, she's going to be using her muscle, or she's going to go swimming. She's going to be using more parts of her body, she's going to be using more muscle groups, she's going to be using a lot more oxygen, because obviously if you're exercising, you're losing up a lot of oxygen. If you're swimming, you're actually going to use the most of your muscle groups are involved in swimming. That's why it's such a good remedial exercise if you're having, long-term joint problems. If you're using all those muscle groups and you're burning up a lot of oxygen, you're using a lot of cardiovascular activities, you're really getting your bloodstream to really be working, you're doing a lot of aerobic type activities, your demand for water is going to be far greater than somebody who sits down all day in front of a computer. So the object of this part of the slide or today's presentation is for you to recognize the different levels of usage. You have a person who's in sales, they're also going to be speaking a lot. They'll be speaking to customers. If you've got somebody working in customer service, they'll be doing a lot of one-to-one interaction with customers on the phones. If you've got telephonists or telesales people, any kind of job that involves plenty of talking. I'll give you an example. I did a phone-in interview on a radio show, and one of the callers called up and he said he had an issue with a salty taste in his mouth. And he said he's been to the doctors, he's tried all measures of medications to try and remove this salty taste from his mouth, and nothing has worked. And I said to him, "You're dehydrated." He said, no way, I'm not dehydrated. There's no chance I could be dehydrated. I said, "My friend, you are dehydrated." He then went around insisting how he's not dehydrated, how he drinks 3 liters of water a day. He really, does a lot of water activity and so on and so forth. So I said, okay, this guy's not going to recognize or accept that he's dehydrated because he really believes in his heart of heart, probably read the internet and he thought, right, I've gone way past 8 glasses a day. I'm drinking more than what has been recommended. I'm drinking 3 liters of water a day. I'm way above what the recommended dose is. I should not be having any salty taste in my mouth. So therefore, this issue is not related to my water. Well, I said, okay, I'm going to set you a challenge. If you say you drink 3 liters of water a day, I'm going to ask you to double it. Double that 3 liters of water and do it just for 7 days. And I said, I guarantee you that your salty taste in your mouth will disappear. He said, what? No, but he was thinking, he was resisting, but then he's thinking at the same time, he had nothing to lose because he tried everything else. He'd been to all the doctors, he tried all the medication, nothing had stopped this salty taste from remaining in his mouth. He did it. He increased his water, he doubled it as instructed. And I think I spoke to him about 2 weeks later. And when I called him up, you know, when you can hear the smile through somebody on the phone, you can actually hear them smiling because he was so relieved that he did what I'd asked him to do. And lo and behold, the salty taste had disappeared. When I asked him, what does he do? He said he is a teacher. In fact, he was a PE instructor. So not only is he speaking all day to his students, he's also doing a lot of physical activity. So he's having a much, much greater demand on his body water usage than a normal person who wouldn't be so active or as active. So the moral of the story today in relation to how much water should we drink is that our water intake should match our usage. It should match our usage. Our water intake should match our usage. If you have a car and you drive just locally every day, you drive 5 miles a day, you can probably get by with putting £10 a week. If you use that same car and you drive to, I don't know, you live in London and you drive to Luton or you drive to Bedford or you drive to Birmingham, £10 of fuel is not going to suffice. You're going to need a lot more fuel. But what we often do is we would spend the £10 worth of fuel, we'll put £10 worth of fuel into our body. We would run the distance of, you know, London to Luton or London to Birmingham every day, but literally we're running on empty. So because we're running our tanks on empty, we've actually gone into the red and sometimes beyond the red. So now the body is working on its reserves. When your body starts to work on its reserves, if the body is not receiving any new water, guess what? The body requires water to perform its function. It will start taking water from wherever it can get it. And one of the first things you'll notice, it will start taking water from the blood. Once your body starts taking water from the blood, you're going to start having a deficiency in your blood's ability to perform its function. How are you going to notice the outward manifestation of your body's lack of water? You're going to notice that your eyes will start becoming dry. You'll notice that your skin will start becoming dry. You'll notice that your joints will start becoming achy because your body has no longer got enough water coming in, although you're using whatever was been available, and you've never ever gone past the E, the empty sign. You've never ever really gone past the reserves or the red, where you're constantly running your body on red, on the minimal amounts of water. So your usage is always on a daily basis going way beyond your intake. So the reason I had to tell the gentleman to increase his water by double, because he's already drinking a fair amount of water, 3 liters, but he was already in a huge deficit. So he was literally trying to play catch up. So when I've got him to drink that 3 liters of water for 7 days, bear in mind, 2 days of those 7 days, he's not at work. So the 2 days was when he really was able to start to build up the reserves, because he wasn't utilizing the 3 liters that he was taking in, or the additional 3 liters. So he allowed himself to build up that. If he continued that for 4 weeks, he really would have had 8 days worth of refill, because the 8 days would have been the 2 weeks, the Saturday and Sunday for each of those weeks. And that's how the body actually uses water, because the body, just like any other tank, it has a tank. It has a capacity of the amount of water it can take in. And if that water amount, that reservoir is depleted, then the body has to start looking at alternative sources of fuel, or as in this case, water. So that brings us to the next question of what happens if we actually don't drink enough water. You've seen, one case where we've just highlighted one case with the salty taste in the mouth. So if you know you're experiencing a salty taste in your mouth on a regular basis or consistent basis, that's a clear sign that you're very dehydrated. Not just because that's salt in your food, it's because the salt that was in your food is now amplified by the already deficient amount of water that should be available to cope with that additional salt. It should be able to flush it through the cells, flush it through the kidneys, and eliminate it without affecting your equilibrium or your water balance within your body. So if that happens and you're left there, it means you're already in a deficit. That's why you can taste the additional salt in your mouth. So what happens if we don't drink enough? We have a situation called unintentional chronic dehydration. Now, so many of our clients that we see on a day-to-day basis are suffering with this condition. Those that come with arthritis, they come with osteoarthritis, they come with rheumatoid arthritis, they come with back pain, they come with sciatica, they come with skin issues, they come with hair issues. So many problems are all linked to the fact that they are extremely and severely chronically dehydrated. So we always use water as a huge part of our program, or our lifestyle change program, to really help people to bring their bodies back into balance, or more importantly, back into order. So unintentional chronic dehydration is actually a very serious condition that is being misdiagnosed time and time again. And people have been, dispensed with all these chemical medications that are literally making a bad situation worse. But I guess it's through lack of knowledge. As the Bible says, my people perish through lack of knowledge. If you don't know, you just don't know. So we're here to really help you to start to get that information and get that knowledge, so you can start to apply the knowledge and start to really make some changes and make some positive difference in your approach to health and indeed your levels of health. So let's look at some of the areas that are impacted by having unintentional chronic dehydration. First, we'll start off with some symptoms of acute dehydration. When you're acutely dehydrated, the first things you'll start to notice are things like headaches. You'll have things like nausea. You may feel a bit nauseous. You may feel a bit giddy, maybe a little bit lightheaded. Your first thing you notice as well is that you start to have a dry mouth. Your lips will start cracking. Everyone starts licking their lips. You notice rapid breathing because your lungs are struggling to function with minimal amounts of water. Your heart's also going to start to beat quite rapidly because obviously, again, the heart is a muscle. If it's not functioning with the optimal amounts of water, it's going to impact its ability to pump the blood around the body. So you may find you start having palpitations. Excessive thirst, that's a key. When you start experiencing excessive thirst, you're feeling very thirsty. Dry skin. You may start to develop dry skin. A lot of people having skin issues are looking at the skin externally by trying to apply all manner of creams, steroid creams, eczema creams, to try and address this issue that's manifesting externally. But the root of the problem is a little bit closer to home. Root of the problem is what's happening inside, or more importantly, what's not happening inside. The fact the body's not receiving the right amounts of water or hydration. Then we have a look at some chronic conditions associated with dehydration. Memory loss. Why you get memory loss? Because obviously your brain is 83% water. So the brain is not receiving the right amount of water. So the cells that require the water or rely on the relevant water supply to continue to reproduce, they're not able to do what they need to do. So the cells will stop reproducing, and as the oxygen levels start to deplete, they will start to experience what they call necrosis, which is tissue death. As the tissues start to die, then the brain cells start to die. Then you start moving to things like Parkinson's and dementia, again, or even stroke. This is lack of oxygen to the brain. Again, these things are all impacted by your water intake. Then you have respiratory issues, skin allergies, body fatigue, weight gain, huge problem. Weight gain, just having the wrong amounts of water will be shown or manifesting very greatly in the amount of weight that you put on. And I'll explain a little bit about that a little bit later as we go on as well. Constipation, we touched on that earlier, how the body requires water to remove the waste out of your cells into your colon and to form, nice solid stools so they can be released through elimination. Kidney stones is a massive one, massive problem. People having problems with their kidneys kidneys rely, they cannot function without water. They require water. They need water in order for them to perform their filtration process. Urinary tract infections. Urinary infections, because the kidney's trying to flush things through. It's like you're trying to wash plates in a sink and flush the waste down the drain. But imagine trying to flush the waste down the drain with purely just the wash nut liquid. A lot of it's going to get stuck. And when those pathogens get stuck, this is where you get bacteria building up in the pipeworks, in the urinary tract. And this is what will cause an infection, because the bacteria will start to accumulate in the urinary tract. And this is when you start to get urinary tract infections. And this can cause a lot of problems, because when that bacteria starts to build up, it starts to go further up into the urinary system and start to cause kidney disease or liver disease, because all the organs, the digestive organs, they work in sympathy of each other. They work to support each other. You will also start to experience high cholesterol, because the body requires water. I mean, cholesterol like the first aiders of the body. They're like the first responders to every situation. But even when you have a situation develop, cholesterol will always get there first. If you haven't got enough water, you're not going to get enough cholesterol to move to these locations. Then the big one is joint ache and backache. Joint ache and backache is a major, major, major problem, but it's so, so easy to resolve if you know how, if you know what you're doing, and more importantly, if you know what you are doing wrong. So joint ache and backache we're going to cover today. We'll look a little bit more at weight, the impact of water on your weight as well. But this is just to give you like an overview of some of the areas, some of the conditions that you may experience, or you may have people close to you who are experiencing purely as a result of their lack of understanding of how to use water properly. Let's have a look at some other issues or other conditions that are linked to water dehydration. Water retention. Big one. So many people come to us with water retention, and they associate it with so many other things other than water. Funny, eh? Water retention, you see the feet start to swell, you'll see the hands starting to swell, you'll see the legs starting to swell. And it's funny how I've got that picture of a cactus next to the legs. You see that cactus in the desert? That desert is a place, it's a dry land, barren, defunct of a regular water supply. This is the same sort of thing that happens with the legs. When the legs start to accumulate, water starts to accumulate in the legs, in the lower part of the legs, they start to resemble a cactus. If you understand how a cactus works, or the biochemistry of a cactus, you'd understand the relationship between the cactus and water retention. If you look at the spikes on the cactus, and you look at the fat stems, the reason why this plant is designed in this way is for their survival. The spikes are designed to obviously protect them from attack, but it's also designed to help maximize the retention of water within the plant, within the stem. Then you look at the stem. The stem is very fat. Why is the stem very fat? Because the roots dig down into the dry ground, always trying to source for any available water. And when it sources for that water, it's going to store whatever water it can find in those fat stems. So when you have people presenting with water retention and their legs start to really swell up, or their hands start to swell up, this is a sign of the body functioning like a plant, functioning like the cactus. It's trying to find a way to store and conserve water, because it needs water for its daily function. But because the host is not providing enough water on a daily basis, the body has to take things into its own hands and start to extract water from the blood, from the cells, from wherever it can find it, and store it in the feet, because obviously because of gravity, the feet are furthest from the heart, and it's nearer to the ground. So it enables you to always have a reliable source when it needs to tap into that additional water to perform its functions. So you find that people with severe dehydration will be suffering with water retention. Now, how do we remedy that? Very simple. We literally double and sometimes triple their water intake. When people come on our program, one of the things we always do is we have a thing called the HERM protocol, which I'll share a little bit later as well. But the HERM protocol is what we use to really help to restore people's body that's in a state of disorder back into order. So the HERM protocol is HERN. So H is for hydration, E is for elimination, R is for rest, and N is for nutrition. Those are the 4 pillars that we use for every stage of our lifestyle change journey. And we've been able to use that formula, that protocol, to address or reverse thousands, a plethora of different conditions, from diabetes to blood pressure to migraines to backache, you name it. We've used those 4 pillars, but the most important one of the most important ones is the H for hydration. And not only are we able to resolve these issues very quickly, we're able to do them in very short periods of time. We've had people come with water retention, diabetes, for example, diabetes type 2, within 10 days, guaranteed. We've had so many testimonials. You can go to our YouTube channel. You'll see people on there, sharing their stories, 10 years with diabetes, weight gain, allergies, skin issues, and diabetes within 10 days, back pain within 3 days. How do we get these results so quickly? Because of the H part of the HERN protocol. The hydration is key. We really get people to ramp up their water intake, but we do it very creatively because we incorporate the water as part of the program, and we ensure that each product that they take it with 500 mils of water. They have to take at least a pint with every product. So they end up drinking at least 3 to 5 liters a day without even realizing. So just by them increasing their water intake, guess what happens? They all come back and start saying within a week that their legs or their feet or their shoes that they couldn't fit in, their feet that they couldn't fit into their shoes, they're able to fit into them now because the swelling starts to go down. The swelling in their hands start to go down. The swelling in the feet start to go down. The swelling in the legs start to go down. Why does the swelling in these areas start to go down and start to go down so quickly? Well, because we increase their hydration. Simple. As we increase the hydration, the body realizes that it's now receiving a regular supply of water. It no longer sees the need to retain water in the ankles, or retain water in the feet, or retain water in the extremities, being, i.e., the hands and the feet. So water retention is something that's very easily resolved simply by taking water. You don't need all these water tablets, you don't need all these diuretics, you just need to increase your water intake. Okay, so let's look at some other areas that are impacted by your water. And you can try it yourself. If you have water retention, you're suffering water retention, try it yourself. Whatever level of water you're ingesting at the moment, simply double it. But on a day-to-day basis, if you do 1 liter a day, do 2. If you do 2 liters a day, do 4. If you do 4 liters a day, do 6. I'm not going to say do too much because people start to go into that zone where they start thinking, can you drink too much water? Again, this is another misinformation or misconception that's perpetrated on the internet, that you can drink too much water, you can drown. Nonsense. The body is 70% water. It knows what to do when it receives water. The body is more intelligent than you, the host. Okay, let's look at your hair. Your hair needs water. People are surprised at how much impact water has on the condition of your hair. People have tried all manner of creams and lotions and potions to try and increase their hair growth. But little do you know, the answer is so much closer to home, but people play and prey on people's ignorance. You don't need all those lotions and potions. You simply need to increase your hydration. When you have dry and frizzy hair, can you see the clue in the term? Dry and frizzy hair. How did the hair become dry and frizzy? Because it doesn't have enough hydration. It's not because of the lack of oil. Your body knows how to produce oil, but it needs the water, it needs the hydration in order to facilitate that function. You start having split ends because the hair, the nourishment, the nutrients that the body is trying to distribute to the different parts of the hair is not being distributed evenly because there's not enough of it to go around, and you don't have the mechanisms, which is the water, to distribute that between the cells. It is not available. Hair being prone to breakage. It stops growth. It triggers hair loss. Why do these things happen? bear in mind that the hair, your hair, every single day, you lose 100 hairs a day, every day. That's just the cycle of hair growth. You lose 100 hairs a day, but you grow back 100 hairs a day. You regrow 100 hairs a day, you lose 100 hairs, but you grow back 100 hairs. But that is mainly dependent on the level of nutrition and the availability of that nutrition and the accessibility of that nutrition, of your hair to that nutrition. Now, the hair is at the far furthest extremity, it's the other end of the spectrum. If the body's keeping all the water in the feet, when it has to distribute the small amounts or ration the small amounts of water that are available, it's going to go to the stomach first, then it's going to go to the liver, the kidney, then it's going to go to the lungs. Your hair's not going to get any. There's not enough to go around. So you start to find your hair will start to break, your hair will start to drop. The reason, the knock-on effect of not having enough minerals is that 100 hairs that should have gone back starts gradually to become 90, then 80, then 70, then 60, then 50, and so on. So then your hair starts to thin. And as that state of not having enough hydration it continues to maintain, that thinning hair starts going into breaking hair, then into not growing at all. Then you start having pattern bald patches. You start losing your hairline. The hairline at the front starts to go first. Then you start getting the bald patch, the male pattern bald patches at the back and the top. And you start having all these problems with your hair. Nothing to do with your hormones. Yes, sorry, I take that back. Sometimes it's linked to your hormones, but remember, where are hormones made? In the brain. What does the brain require to produce hormones? Water. So the water is always going to be, instrumental in the full functionality of this whole process. All of them rely heavily on the available amounts of water. And that's how you make, by doing the opposite, by keeping yourself hydrated, you're able to maintain glossy and strong hair, frizz-free hair, and hair that constantly grows back on a regular basis. What else needs water? Your skin. Your skin. Your skin is the biggest organ on your body. When you have problems with your skin, it's a sign that there's some serious problems happening internally, because the skin is the biggest organ in the body, and it requires a large amount of nutrients, which requires a large amount of service in order for those nutrients to be distributed and made available to the skin that surrounds the whole of your organs. So when people have things like acne, again, it's linked to the lack of water. So because your body's not able to flush out the toxins, and when the body can't eliminate those toxins through the available channels, it will say, look, guys, we're overloaded down here. The livers can't take anymore. The kidneys overloaded because they haven't got enough resources to flush it out through the blood. It will say, guys, look, there's nothing we can do. Skin, you're bigger than us. You have to take some of this. Sorry, we have to pass it over to you. So it'll pass some of the toxins over to the skin, and you'll start to experience breakouts. And the longer that state remains, that they'll break out, that mole or that little bump or little spot will start to intensify, and eventually will end up becoming a rash. Then it could become a more permanent rash, which starts to develop into eczema. Then another level of that eczema is start to come psoriasis. There's so many skin issues that are linked, that the source of them is the lack of available water. Then you can get that dry red nose. This is more for our Caucasian friends, but staying hydrated can help to protect you from that fragile nasal skin. Bags under your eyes. Yes, we talked about sleep 2 weeks ago and the impact of not having enough sleep, how it will affect the eyes. But what about the skin that surround the eyes? So the bags under your eyes are a direct correlation between the amount of hydration you have, because not having enough water will weaken the delicate skin under the eye and make the bags become more prominent. So number one, you got to get enough hydration. Then you got to look at what you put in that hydration. Then you start looking at things like your lemons. You start looking at things like your vitamin C. You start looking at the levels of your collagen, your silica. These are all things that are great to have in the blood. But if you don't have the distribution network or the distribution system to move them to where they needed to go, then it's just going to be very concentrated blood that's very rich in supplements and very rich in nutrients, but you need the water in order for it to move to where it needs to go. So you want to get rid of wrinkles and want to keep your eyes nice and bright, nice and fresh, make sure you give yourself ample amounts of water on a regular basis. If you want to eliminate flaky or itchy scalp, or almost having a dry scalp again, you see these words? Dry, dry hair, dry eyes, dry scalp. You can see the opposite of that is hydrate, is water, wet. It needs water. If you want to have bright eyes, you know, that's full of electrolytes, that's rich in potassium, it's got all the minerals and nutrients, make sure you get the right amounts of water. You know, it improves the elasticity of your skin, it helps you prevent wrinkles, keeps your nails nice and strong and supple. And it just has so many benefits to so many different parts of your skin, your hair, and all the organs that are responsible for maintaining your youthfulness and your beauty. So try and take a picture of this screen so you can look at some of the areas that you may be experiencing that you can impact simply by increasing your water. Okay, your joints. Now let's look at that big area of problems with pain in the joints. I want to try and really keep this really simple because it can be a bit complex understanding the makeup of your joints, but I've tried to get to present an image that really keeps things as simple as possible. You have a thing in your back. A lot of people have back pain. A lot of people have sciatica. A lot of people have nerve pain that travels down through the back and into the leg, into the thigh, up and down the back of the leg or through the hip. The same thing happens with the knees. They have a lot of pain in their knees. Now, to keep it really simple, everybody's back or spine or spinal cord has a level of discs, costal facets, and joints that keep it together and allow you to flex them and move them and perform different functions. One of the things that make up these joints or that keep these joints well pliable and movable is a thing called the synovial joint. Now the synovial joint, let's just keep it really simple. The synovial joint is like a capsule, but it also is linked to a disc, and the discs are what sit in between each of the bone joints. The synovial fluid is what protects these joints from bouncing into each other or rubbing against each other. When you have the right amount of fluid in your body, your synovial joint will form that cushion, and that cushion will be nice and springy, and it will keep your back and your spine and your joints nice and pliable and easy to move. Nothing's going to come and rub against each other because there's only a thin layer in between each one. But with the synovial fluid, it's almost like forms a nice cushion because of the gel. Now, when that gel starts to dry up, that cushion starts to become flat. When that becomes flat, those joints that are separated by that cushion will start to rub against each other. And when they start to rub against each other, this is where the discs that are in between will start to become pliable. They'll start to move. Now, these discs aren't supposed to move because they have the cushion that protects them and keeps them in place. When that fluid dries up, that disc is no longer stable. Those discs can now, if you make a move or you perform a normal function of the back or your spine, that disc could slip out of place because it's now just sliding on a dry platform. And that's when you have a thing called slipped disc. And when you have a slipped disc, it is a lot of pain. It is very painful. It is extremely painful. Now, let's move away from that for a second and we'll come back to it in a minute when we bring it all full circle. In the same situation, when those joints are lacking without function, without that cushion, without that fluid, those joints now become inflamed because they're now working in a dry environment. So you look at the picture on the right here. Sorry, on the left, you've got the picture with the lady, and you've got the bone with the synovial joint, and you've got the one on the right showing the arthritic synovial joint. You can see the red line there where it's become inflamed. Now, when that joint becomes inflamed, this is when it starts to become arthritic. You've now got the levels of inflammation because you're now going to start having bacteria start to get in there. And because they're working without the required amount of water, they're now going to start rubbing against each other, which is going to start leading to pain. Now, how did both of these conditions start? How did this slip disc fall out? One last part, let me just add in there. When that disc falls out, because it maintains a perfect spinal column. That spinal column carries signals from the brain. It carries it from the brain and it distributes it to the relevant parts of the body that are needed to perform whatever function the brain wants it to do. If any one of those joints gets out of place, or those discs get out of place, those nerves or those signals that are traveling from the brain can also become displaced. When they become displaced, they will now become trapped in an area that they're not supposed to be in. Normally that will happen with the sciatic nerve, and that's when you start having things like sciatica. That's because the sciatic nerve has now been displaced. How did it become displaced? Because the cushion that keeps everything in place, that allows everything to function according to its natural order, has now been removed. So now nerves are going to start moving and going into places that they're not supposed to go. And now it's going to start to cause high levels of discomfort and long-term, very chronic pain. So you've got three situations here that are all linked to the synovial joint. More importantly, to the synovial fluid. They actually call it synovitis. When you look on the picture in the blue on the right, because the same thing happens in the knees, they call it synovitis, which is when you have the swollen, inflamed synovial membrane, which is like the structure around the knee that allows the water to come in, the fluid to come in, and it then keeps that cushion very well lubricated and keeps that synovial joint very well full of gel. This situation now, or they'll call it synovitis or arthritis or arthritic joints, which is really synovitis, which means the synovial joint has become inflamed because the synovial fluid has been removed, is all caused by the lack of water. It's caused by the lack of water, because when the water is no longer available, those joints, those cushions will start to dry up, the gel will start to disappear, and then there's no longer the cushion to protect the joints and keep things in place and moving nice and supplely. If, on the other hand, when you've achieved or you've reached that state, you then want to reverse that condition and put it back into order, you first have to refill that gel capsule. You have to refill that gel so it can form that cushion again. Once you form the cushion, the bone would automatically move back into place. The nerve that was trapped out of place will then start to go along its natural path, and the sciatic pain is now completely gone. When we put people on our program using the HERM protocol, simply by increasing the hydration, obviously we use a lot of products. We put the right levels of minerals, right level of nutrients, i.e. the N, which is N for nutrition. We put those in the body receives that, but the way it's able to receive it is because the system of distribution is readily available, i.e. the water, the hydration that's able to move all these nutrients to where they're needed. Simply by increasing the hydration, the cushion is able to be refilled, the gel is able to be restored, the back, the line, the spine is able to be restored back to its order, and the pain disappears. So we've been able to do that time and time and time again, and we do it very, very quickly. Generally, it happens within about 3 days. People are shocked. If you watch any of the videos on YouTube, any of the videos on our channel, any of the videos on our website, you'll see there's a consistent flow or consistent line that people always say they couldn't believe how their arthritis or their arthritic knee, the pain that they were having for 10 years, 15 years, how it went dramatically down within 3 days. Because the body is obsessed with order. The body's always trying to keep you in order, but we as the host are always putting our body into states of disorder. So these are things that can be easily remedied just by increasing the water and having the right amount of water on a regular, consistent basis. Arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, these situations are all very easily reversible and relieved very quickly just from having the right amounts of water in your body on a regular basis. Okay, let's look at what else we need water for. Okay, so we've got the 7 wonders of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually 5 here now. We've already covered 2, but we've got the 7 wonders of water. So we know that water is very instrumental in relieving arthritis. We've shown you how water can very significantly impact and improve back pain. We've seen how water deals with water retention. by increasing your water and allowing the body to no longer have to rely on its own resources or its own reserves. By recognizing that the host is now providing it with the relevant amounts of water, the body will release the water it's storing, or that the water that it's retaining, hence it's called water retention. It's not letting go of the water that it has. Bloating. Bloating is a very key area that's impacted by water. Why is bloating impacted by water? Well, when we look on the next part of today's presentation, you'll see how the body absorbs water, how the body actually receives water. And you'll see how if the body doesn't have enough water, when your digestive system starts to receive food, if the right amount of resources are not available, that food will not be able to digest. It won't be able to digest. If you look at, imagine you have a frying pan and you're, I don't know, a chip shop, for example, and the chip shop has this big, deep pan or deep vat that it's filled with hot oil. When it puts the chips into that hot oil, those chips start to go through the process of heat and the cooking process. They're cooking the potato from the raw state into it becoming a chip. But it requires that hot oil in order for it to do that, to take it through that process. But imagine if you put those chips into the oil and the oil is either cold or there's no oil there. Nothing's going to happen to those chips. They're just going to sit there and they start to fill the pan. Another example would be, if you remember those James Bond movies. You remember the James Bond movies? I used to love the James Bond movies when they'd always have, you know, him dangling over some big vat of acid. And it's a very cliffhanger type situation where if he was to drop in there, anything that gets dropped into the acid will literally disintegrate in seconds. So sometimes they drop the gun in there and the gun will just melt because of the power of the heat of the acid and the strength of the acid. Now, when you receive food into your stomach relies on the mucus availability and the acids of the stomach, call them the stomach acids, to receive that food and start to break down that food. So you look at that scenario with the James Bond movie, when they have the big vat of acid that's very hot and bubbling, and anything that drops into it, it starts to be dissolved and melted. Your stomach is the same. Your stomach has those acids, and when those foods that you ingest are received into the acid, that's when the digestion process takes place, because the acid starts to break down the food and start to initiate that digestion process of extracting the vitamins, the minerals, and the nutrients. It's done through separation. So it's broken down and it's separated into the relevant parts, the proteins, the carbs, the fats. So the different parts of the body are able to assimilate and absorb whatever particular part that food is containing that the body will require. When you don't have enough acid in your stomach, the food will go in and there's not enough water to help to break down that food or move it into position. That food would either A, come back up the esophagus, and this is where you'd have indigestion because food is not being able to be digested, or you'd have acid reflux. People call it acid reflux. So acid reflux, people misdiagnose themselves or self-misdiagnose by saying them having acid reflux is as a result of them having too much acid. Far be it from the truth. The reason why people will have acid reflux is because there's not enough acid. Because the food has dropped down into that environment that's supposed to be full of stomach acids, ready for it to receive the food to start breaking it down. But when the food has got there, there was no acid there. It was dry. It was like that chip pan with no hot oil, or hot oil that didn't have any heat. So the ability for the body to break it down was compromised. So it didn't happen. So guess what happens to that food? It sits there and you start to experience bloating because you've got food that's in your stomach that is not being broken down. It's not being fried. It's not being digested. So it's just sitting there. So you end up with bloating. So hopefully you get to realize now that every time you have acid reflux, you call it acid reflux, you may want to start looking at how can I start to nourish my stomach with the right amounts of acid. You may start looking at getting some hydrochloric acid, different supplements that you can use to really rebuild in the lining of your stomach and the inside of your stomach to make sure you can digest your food correctly. In addition to that, you may want to start looking at purchasing some digestive enzymes. So these are all very important tools in the actual digestion and the breaking down of your food. And lastly, we looked at the skin, how your water impacts your skin and really helps you to maintain a healthy level of skin. So let's quickly go into the chat room. Let's just see what's going on now. I've seen a lot of activity happening in the chat before we move on. Let's see if I can call it up. I'm going to take a quick pause there just to see what's going on, if anybody's had any questions based on what we've had so far. Where are we? Okay, let's go in the chat. Okay, so if you've got any questions as well, feel free to ask them in the chat, or let me see how much we've got left to go. You could actually unmute yourself and ask them very quickly if you want to, very quick. We'll just take 5 minutes to take any questions that you may have on what we've covered so far.
Yes, Juice Doctor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, sir.
Yep. Paul, you know that you have the 7 wonders of water, but you only listed 5. What are the other 2?
I like Paul, you're really spot on, you're really sharp on the case. The other 2, we've only covered 5 because the other 2 were part of another presentation, and I'll leave it for another presentation because I don't want to overload people with too much information today, but we'll keep it really simple. We had the 7 wonders, but we'll just cover the 5 today. And I'm glad you asked that one. We will cover it in another presentation because they are quite wide areas. So as I say, we don't know.
Because I was making some notes, but I can because I'm more listening contentively, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think so. I've got 7 done, but I only have 5, you know. So it's just for ease of reference on my notes.
Yeah, no, very, very good. Very, very good question. Let's just say, we'll call it just today. Let's just say the heart and the brain, because they're 2 big areas. And the brain. They're 2 big areas that they need a lot of, it's quite a lot of in-depth information, a lot of explanation to make sure people can get the right levels of understanding. But yes, it's the heart and the brain. But we won't cover those today.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
No problem, Paul.
All right, you know your stuff, man. You know your stuff, man.
Keep
it up.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Hiya.
Hi, just a quick question. What if you have, or I'm in the process of being confirmed if I've got a hernia in my stomach, for instance, and the bloating and the water intake, is that like kind of a vicious cycle, or can the water help aid that situation in general?
Have you been diagnosed with a hernia already, or are they querying you?
Yes, but I've got one already, but I've just got to go back to see if it's grown or expanded. And it seems to somehow come across, or so I think, that it attributes towards the bloating as such.
Yes.
So when I tend to drink water, sometimes I kind of stop at a certain limit because it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But should I continue to drink this water to help aid it, to just bypass the pain?
Okay, it's a very good question. When you have a hernia, in order for you to get to a hernia is like having a wooden chair and the wood actually tearing. It's very hard to tear that wood because the mesh is so robust, it's so strong. It will take years of straining for that to actually tear and for the hernia to appear, to come through the lining. So that means you've probably had a history of having some levels of constipation.
Yes.
Yes, where you haven't had enough water in your system in order for your waste to be broken down and removed without having to put too much strain on your stomach in order to push it out. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I've even been told I've got IBS.
Yes. So yes, the water is a big part of the underlying factors that have contributed to that condition in the first place. So yes, when it comes to repairing, what you want to do, because you've actually passed that barrier where that mesh that has been so strong has been stretched and stretched and stretched and stressed for many years. What you can do now is to try and reduce the amount of strain on the actual digestive system by incorporating, yes, number one, a lot more water. But in addition to that, you may want to start looking at getting some digestive enzymes. So
Okay.
your food can be broken down a lot quicker. You want to look at getting some probiotics, some good bacteria to really populate your gut, to make sure they have the right amount of healthy bacteria that will really aid in the digestion process of breaking down that food. And lastly, you want to look at some hydrochloric acid. They call it HCl. These are things that will take the strain of your stomach and your digestive system and allow your digestive system to break food down a lot more effectively. So when it comes to removing them through the colon, it's not going to be as stressful on your system as it has been up until now.
May I say that is the best information I have received in over 15 years of my problem ongoing.
Wow.
So I do have to praise you for that information, because I've never had that from any GP, any specialist who, you know, so-called claims they're a specialist at this, that, and the other.
Wow.
So that's been really, really helpful. And it kind of is like an epiphany, like a light bulb moment.
Wow.
I've got the most sluggish kind of digestive system. I go through the cycle. I'm always told, you know, go back, have a colonoscopy or this or that, or you've just got IBS, so we can't do nothing for you. But what you've said makes total sense.
Wow.
And I'm assuming that all the things that you've mentioned are available to purchase for yourself as well. Is that correct?
Yes, some of them. You can get them on our website at vivonutrients.com. Again, we'll put the details up again at the end. But if you watch the replay, which you'll see on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see all the links if you missed them, or you can actually ask the questions in the chat and someone will post it, the details to you. The chat is very active at the moment.
Yes, thank you so much. That is
so
an absolute wonder. You're a blessing. Thank you
so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Any other quick questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm on dialysis, and I'm only allowed to drink 1 liter of water a day, because if not, it gets stuck in my system, the water.
Yes.
And it increases my blood pressure. So before I went on dialysis, I used to love drinking water, and I miss it so much. And to be cut down to 1 liter a day is really not good for me. And now I'm hearing you saying we have to drink copious amount of water to flush out our system. So do you have any advice, anything for me?
How many days are you doing dialysis at the moment?
3 times a week, 4 hours each time.
Wow. So the rest of the days you're probably taking just recovering from...
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm drinking water and being overloaded when I go back the following day for dialysis.
What level of kidney function do you have at the moment?
Complete 0.
0, yeah.
It's not working at all.
Yes, when you have that level of kidney function, it's very hard for your body to process the water. This is why they would generally suggest the low amount of 1 liter, which is a very low amount, which is going to have an impact on your skin. I'm assuming that you've probably got some dry skin now.
Not at the moment, because I've just recently started it. So I suppose, like, you know, in a few months' time, I would probably have dry skin.
Yes.
Dry hair.
Yes. Yes. It's a slippery road that you're on. It's the real extreme when you get to that stage. Where are you based?
I live in West Hampstead.
I live in West Hampstead. Maybe it'd be better for you to come in for a scan so we can look at what other organs are supporting your kidney at the moment, to see how best we can support those to really help the kidney with the regeneration of the kidney, because the only way you can really get to increase the water is by developing your kidney function or regenerating the tissues around the kidney. Do you have any issues with iron? Are you anemic?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so these are all linked, anemia and kidney failure. So yes, we need to look at the condition of your blood, the levels of oxygen in your blood, and how well we can support the other organs around your kidney to start to really, you know, improve the current status. Because at the moment you're at that state where if your kidney's at 0% function, it'll be very hard to increase water.
Yes.
You have to get the kidney levels up. You have to get the kidney level of function up from 0 to at least 10%. then
can that happen? Have you done that with someone whereby
we've
you
helped people, but we don't want to build up false hope. We have helped people with kidney issues, but they are the cases of that, they are rare. They are rare because we're still researching into the kidney and the different tools and the different resources that are available to help the kidney. But when you're at that state, the state where your kidney has gone down to zero function, it will take a lot of resources and tools. The body can regenerate itself, absolutely, because the body's that's what it does. It regenerates itself every single day, depending on the levels of available resources, minerals, vitamins, and tools that it needs, and it has at its disposal to utilize for that regeneration process. So yes, it'd be advisable for you to come in for a scan so we can give you a better synopsis of what's happening internally, and then look at the better what the possible outcomes could be and what routes we'd have to take to achieve those outcomes.
Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome. Okay, we'll take a couple more questions and then we will.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Eileen.
Hi. I was just wondering, how much can you go by the color of your urine as to whether you're hydrated enough or not?
Okay, bear with me 1 second. Just bear with me just 1 second. Gloria, can you see whoever's got their volumes up still so we can mute that person? They've got their TV going in the background, so we can mute them out. And if anybody's not asking a question, if you wouldn't mind just muting yourself. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, so your urine, the color of your urine, the darker it is, the more dehydrated you are. So if your urine is like a dark orange, that's a sign that your body is almost in the red. It's the same as the dial on the petrol tank or the fuel gauge on your car. You're in the red. So if your color of your urine is a dark orange, that means you're extremely dehydrated. You really need to increase your water intake on a daily basis, which will help to show you how you can as we proceed through today's presentation. If it's a slightly lighter tinge, that means maybe you're getting a little bit of hydration, but you're still far from hitting the mark. So basically, the darker it is, the more you need to hydrate until you start seeing it getting lighter and lighter, which will give you some indication.
Okay. So do you think that's a good indication? Because I was just thinking in light of some of the things that you were already discussing about dry hair and skin, etc.
Yes.
You know, I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking whether there could be other problems because
There will be.
Yeah.
If you're experiencing dark urine on a regular basis, that means your tank is empty. So your body has been running on minimal resources for a long time. So because there's been a huge deficit, there'll be a lot of depletion in a lot of the function of a lot of the organs. So your hair, you may notice some problems with your hair. You may notice some issues with your skin. You may notice some issues with your joints. You may notice some issues with your digestive system. So all these areas will be impacted by the lack of water or the available water to those organs to perform their proper function. And the longer you maintain it in that state, is the worse things will become. And as your kidney starts to begin to function without water, the cells of the kidney will start to break down. And as the cells of the kidney start to break down, if they continue to break down, that's when you eventually start losing function of your kidney. And if you start losing function of your kidney and it continues in that state, then you start to go into a situation like the lady before, who then has to now rely on dialysis for the fluid in her body to be processed properly. And you don't want to get to that state because it's a very, 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 very bad state to be in. If if it can be avoided, you really want to try and avoid that.
Yeah, I was just thinking the question that's just come up was the question that I was on. What if your urine is clear and you've still got dry skin and dry hair? That was.
Yes, it could be clear for one day, but the next day it may not be clear. Is it clear every day, or is it just clear to the day you looked at it last?
It's clear most of the time, but I suppose there's another thing that I sort of read. Again, I'm listening to you and you make so much more sense. I wish I'd met you years ago. Is it that your body takes a good number of weeks before it sort of circulates, before things start to show improvement?
Well, yes. Once you start to Yes, one thing is having the hydration and the body's ability to maneuver and to move nutrients in and out of the cells and move waste out of the cells. The other thing is having the right amount of resources, i.e. the vitamins and the minerals, proteins, etc. If those aren't there, then your body will just be moving around basically empty calories.
Absolutely. So if you're not balanced with other things, then just drinking water is not going to do it alone.
No,
I get that.
No.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's
You're
brilliant.
welcome. No problem at all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll take one more. Somebody else had the last question, and then we'll crack on with.
Hello, Dr. Juice.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
What I wanted to know really is that I haven't actually had a diagnosis, but I do believe that I am starting to suffer with osteoarthritis. For the past 6 months, I've been having a shoulder pain, which I thought was muscle at first, but then I think it's becoming worse, and it's actually more bone feeling wise. I have spoken to a GP recently, and what I'm not really happy is that the GP is telling me to take painkillers for a number of periods of time throughout the day, and obviously to be careful because it could upset the stomach. And I'm just thinking to myself, listening to you today, and you're just saying about increasing water intake, because that has been an issue for me, not drinking enough. And when I listened to you today, and you were saying like obviously drinking much more water, and I was thinking, crikey, that's probably why I'm aching all over the place. Not drinking enough. How can, obviously, if with osteoarthritis, apart from just the drinking of the water, what else can help to prevent or slow it down?
Okay. If you have osteoarthritis, firstly, is your pain in your right shoulder?
Yes.
Okay. That's a clear sign that you may also be having problems with your liver as well. When people have a liver that's overloaded, then you normally see the first manifestation would be you start to develop a pain in your right shoulder that you can't seem to shake. It starts off as a dull sort of ache, and then it starts to become more consistent. These are signs that you're having problems with your liver. Now, again, the liver, the kidney, they all work together in support of the digestive system. If your hydration levels are already quite low, that means all the resources in your body are also going to be low on the relevant materials that they require to perform their job. So the liver is responsible for isolating any level of toxins to prevent them from getting into the bloodstream and causing damage in any other parts of the body. If your water intake is already low and your liver's already overloaded, that's going to put additional pressure on your kidney. Straight away, the kidney, if it hasn't got enough water, as we said earlier, the body will then start to take water from the blood. And when it starts to take water from the blood, you're going to start feeling the deficiency in your bones, because the bones don't have enough nutrients for them to perform their function. But also, if the kidney hasn't got enough water, that means the uric acid that's building up as a result of your digestive process, that uric acid is not going to be able to be converted into urea. Now, the kidney requires water to convert uric acid. It uses ammonia to convert that uric acid into urea, which will then pass out as urine. If it's not got that, then that uric acid will start to build up. And when the body can't eliminate that uric acid, it will start to store that uric acid in the bones or in the joints. And this is where you'll start to experience the first signs of the inflammation, or what they call arthritis. In order to reverse that, yes, the first thing you can do with osteoarthritis with the bones is to start to increase your water. Where are you actually feeling it at the moment? In your back, your hip, your knees?
What's that, the pain?
The pain, yes.
Yeah, it's in my shoulder, I get backache, it's in my knee joints, my feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you had any kind of gout type discussions, anything around gout? Because this is another direction that things could go in if they're left.
No, I haven't had gout. I may have bunion, but apart from that, no.
Yeah. So the first thing you want to start doing is looking at increasing your hydration. That's number one, increase your hydration. Number two, you want to look at increasing your mineral intake, because the bones require a lot of minerals. We have a product called Elixir of Life. which we'll show you a little bit more about as we proceed today. Elixir of Life is a very powerful product because it's very rich in minerals and trace elements. It's a natural earth-based product that actually comes from the rainforest in South America. And when people use that product, because it's so rich in silica, it really helps to boost the collagen production within the body. And every part of the body requires collagen in order to keep it together. The bones have a huge demand, a huge requirement for collagen. So when you apply the water along with the Elixir of Life, it will be like the first step in starting to nourish your bones and nourish your joints with the required resources. Remember earlier we talked about not just having water, but having the right amount of minerals and nutrients to then start to nourish those areas and start to replenish them with the things that they've been lacking. So Elixir of Life will be a very good start in that direction. And then secondly, looking at maybe doing some level of detoxing, because if your liver's already overloaded, that means the body has a lot of toxins in it already that the body may be finding hard to eliminate. And the water, yes, will help, but if you're doing a dedicated detox to start to remove some of the impurities that are building up in the body, that are building up in the liver, building up in the blood, building up in the gut, it will take a lot of pressure off the liver, it will take a lot of pressure off the kidney, and it will take a lot of pressure by removing a lot of impurities. It will take a lot of pressure off the joints as well. So when you have that multifaceted approach, it enables you to get better results and to get them a lot quicker. We have a number of different detox that you can do available on the website. The easy one to start with is the Express Detox, which includes the Oxyflush to really clear out your colon and your bowels. It has the Elixir of Life within it, which is a very good product, as we mentioned. It has the Brain Juice, which helps increase blood flow to the brain, but also circulation in general. And it has Ultra Detox, which is a very powerful anti-inflammatory, antiseptic. Basically, it's a very bitter tonic that really stimulates liver enzymes, and it has things like milk thistle, burdock, to really cleanse the blood, to really look at, cleanse the lymphatic system. It has a lot of essential oils in there that will really help to strengthen and support the liver, the kidney, and the digestive function. So when you use those products as a combination, it really helps to alleviate a lot of the pressure from those organs and helps to bring your body back into order a lot quicker by having the relevant resources available in a natural form that the body recognizes. So that's what I'd recommend for you, but making sure you first thing you do before you do anything is start to increase your water. But don't worry, not to worry, don't start getting bogged down with, I've been diagnosed with osteoarthritis, there's nothing I can do. There's lots you can do. There's lots you can do, there's lots you can apply. And like I said, take a look at the YouTube and look at some of the testimonials. You'll see a lot of people who had osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and using some of the programs, some of the bigger programs, mind you, they were able to alleviate it very, very quickly. And they're still, pain-free, joint pain-free now. And this is years later. So don't, take heart. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot that's available to you. And it's just for you to take the relevant steps, which you started by coming today. So well done to you for that.
Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so I'm not going to take any more questions for now till the end. So thank you so much for those that have asked, because I know your questions would have empowered a lot of other people who may have had similar issues or questions that they would have liked to ask, but hopefully they've also been answered in this particular section. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go on to how water enters the blood and why some people have problems with actually drinking water. We're also going to be launching our water today. We have our own water, but we've had so many problems with people not having the right type of water. When we come to the section on the actual types of water, we're going to really unveil a really powerful water system that we have available that's very, very, very doing some really amazing things in the body and in terms of improving people's health. Okay, so how does the water enter the blood? I'm going to keep this really simple. The water enters the blood through the esophagus. It goes in through the esophagus. It goes into the stomach through the small intestine, through the large intestine, and then it's absorbed from there into the blood. This is why it's so important to make sure that you have a glass of water, for example, before you start to engage in a meal, because it allows those digestive juices to be topped up with the resources that they need in order for them to digest your food effectively and efficiently. So drinking some water before you have a meal is always advisable and recommended. Also, in addition to that, sometimes we're actually not hungry, we're thirsty. So we may misinterpret the signals from our body. The body may be crying out for hydration, but we just think, oh, we need some food. So we shove a lot of food in, but the body actually doesn't need food. It actually needs water. So try and also always try and make sure you get some water to go into your body before you take a meal. In addition to that, we always look at, why do some people not like the taste of water? Why does sometimes water abhor or reject? Why does the body reject water when people drink it, that they just don't like drinking it? The reason for that is, when the body receives water, it receives it from the stomach into the cells. But when it receives it into the cells have to remove all the impurities from that water before the cells actually receive it and classify it as being hydrated. And oftentimes, because the water contains so many contaminants, the body actually doesn't want or cannot actually utilize the water in its current state until those contaminants and those impurities have been removed. This is why a good filtration system is always a good thing to have, because if you don't remove the impurities via a filtration system before you actually drink the water, then guess what? Your body becomes the filter. Your body will not receive water that is full of contaminants. Yes, they'll say water contains minerals and trace elements and magnesium and calcium, etc. But it also contains a lot of other pollutants that are not beneficial to the body. And when the body identifies them, it's going to reject them from the cells until those impurities are isolated by the liver or indeed by the kidney. So it's really important that we recognize that the quality of the water we drink is instrumental into the body's ability to actually be hydrated from that water. So that moves us on to the next slide, which is water, although it's very good and very beneficial in multiple circumstances and situations, it can also cause us harm as well. How does the water that we drink cause us harm? Well, it contains lots of pollutants. Water, in its natural state, or the one that we drink on a day-to-day basis, has a lot of contaminants. You have different types of contaminants that will impact the body in different ways. But let's touch on a few today. We'll look at a few main categories of contaminants that we have in water. 1 being chemical, 2 being metal, and 3 being biological. The chemical contaminants of water will include things like nitrogen, bleach, salts, pesticides, lead, mercury, aluminium, arsenic, antibiotics, insecticides, herbicides. You have things like detergents, then you've got toxins that are produced from bacteria, human waste or animal drugs, and disinfecting cleaners. These are all the chemical type, well, just a few, this is not all, there's many more, but these are some of the key chemical contaminants that is generally contained within our water that we drink. Then we have the metals. The metals are things like arsenic, cadmium, or the heavy metals more to the point, chromium, copper, nickel, lead, and mercury. Now we're going to look more intently at lead today, because lead is causing a lot of problems for people unbeknown to them. The lead levels in your water is causing a huge amount of problems, and people that are anemic in particular are suffering because of the levels of lead in their blood. Because when your body has high levels of lead, it then restricts the body's ability, or the cell's ability, to take up iron. So where the body will see lead, it will take up the lead first, and then it will not have enough room to take up the iron. So this is why a lot of people have issues or problems with iron deficiencies. And one of the minerals that is not widely available, and it's a sad thing that it's not, and I think it's possibly done on purpose, that people really require, is copper. Because if you have copper in the right amounts, copper will enable iron to be absorbed much quicker and much faster and much more efficiently. But because there's minimal availability of copper, this is why lead is always widely available and much more prevalent in the blood, that the blood will always take up the lead and it will cause the iron to be left behind. So this is why a lot of people are suffering with anemia, and this is what leads to things like kidney problems. This is why I was asking the lady earlier if she has a history of being anemic, because they're all linked and correlated. When you have kidney disease, it's because your blood is lacking iron. You normally can treat kidney disease with high doses of iron, but it's something that we're still looking at, and it's not something I would recommend just go and dump loads of iron, because the level of, or the quality of iron also has to be the right type of iron, ideally organic iron, as opposed to the iron that you have available in some of the supplements that are on the high street. But you also would need to have a decent amount of copper to assist with the absorption of the iron to replace the lead that is causing a lot of problems for a lot of people as in the water, in the current state that the water is in now. Then we have biological contaminants. That these are things like viruses, norovirus, protozoa, parasites, salmonella, E. coli, etc. These are bacteria that are contained within the water. But today we're going to really just focus a little bit on the impact of lead, because lead is so widely available in our water, and it's causing a lot of problems that people are very unaware of. So we're going to look at some of the aspects of lead poisoning and how these things are translating into some of the conditions that people are experiencing. And maybe you may be experiencing on a daily basis, that you can identify some of these symptoms and be able to have some understanding as to where or how they are finding themselves manifesting in your body. So let's look at some effects of lead in water and some symptoms. Symptoms of lead poisoning are varied and can affect almost all the organs of the body. And this is the thing about lead, it's so intrinsic with everything that's happening in the water that the body is almost becoming used to. I'm sure you heard about what happened with the levels of lead in Flint, and all the levels of IQ and education of all the people in that area in Michigan, in America, had really significantly negatively impacted their health and their academic capabilities. So lead poisoning, it builds up slowly following repeated exposure, even to small quantities. Let's look at some signs of lead exposure and how it may manifest and what you may be experiencing, but not realizing that this is as a result of the lead poison or the lead exposure that you've set or exposed your body to over a number of years. You may experience things like abdominal pain, abdominal cramping, aggressive behavior, constipation, headaches, fatigue, loss of memory, kidney dysfunction. Again, we said about lead, not allowing the iron to be absorbed, and it leading to quite severe kidney dysfunction and kidney disorders. So these are some of the things that you might want to be looking into, maybe doing your own research on as well, so you can empower yourself even greater to make sure you've got the right information and understanding so you can start to offset these situations. It also leads to sleep problems, irritability, loss of development skills in children, big area. Loss of appetite, high blood pressure, numbness or tingling in the extremities, and of course, anemia. But children are really severely affected by poisoning or lead poisoning in the blood or in the water. And it really affects their developmental capabilities, because when a child's brain is still developing, having that high levels of lead intoxicating the brain will really stunt the growth and the development of that rather major organ and its associated function. So symptoms of people that are children having lead poisoning will be things like behavior problems, having a low IQ or poor grades at school, problems with hearing, short or long-term learning difficulties, growth delays, and autism. Let's look at some ways that lead will get into our systems. It gets into the system generally through things like house paint or petrol, but they don't produce a lot of these products with lead anymore, although, or should I say, they're not supposed to. However, lead is still present everywhere, and especially found in some of the older houses. Let's look at some of the common sources of lead and how how you can be on the lookout for them to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to lead poisoning through interacting with any of these items. So things like old house paint made before 1978, when you see the doors peeling off, that's a sign that you've got lead paint or lead in the paint. Toys and household items painted before 1976. Curtain weights, fishing sinkers made of lead, pipes and sink facets, which can contaminate drinking water. A lot of old houses have the old lead piping, which could also lead to a lot of lead contamination. Paint sets and art supplies full of lead. Those old paint sets that they give to the children, they're used for making drawings and making pictures or doing art, full of lead. Jewelry, pottery, lead figurines, storage batteries, and now you've got women that use these eyeliners. If you use a lot of kohl or Kajal eyeliners, I know a lot of the high street brands, a lot of the major companies that use kohl or Kajal eyeliners, they have had quite a lot of controversy around their lead content. When you put these eyeliners on your eyes, obviously it's going very close to your brain, because anything that goes on the skin also goes into the skin. So just by using those eyeliners, it could leave you exposed to high levels of lead contamination. These are some things that we've really got to be careful of to make sure that we don't inadvertently expose ourselves to lead just through doing some of our day-to-day, even our beauty regimes on a daily basis. So these are things that we want to be looking out for to make sure we can remove them from our regime and hopefully from our bodies. But then the question is, how then, if we have already been exposed to lead and some of the effects of lead poisoning, how do we remove these impurities from our body and other metals? Because mercury is another heavy metal that's contaminates a lot of water. How do we remove mercury? How do we remove lead? How do we remove cadmium and all these other poisons from our body? Well, luckily, one of the things that we do when we put people on our lifestyle change program is that we do a heavy metal detox. One of the reasons why people are able to achieve some of the results they do and achieve them so quickly is because we remove a lot of these metals from their blood and from their body, and we eliminate them through the bowels and through the kidney, and we do it relatively simply and relatively quickly. And as a result of that, you find people, they always claim they have a lot more energy, they have a lot more alertness, they have a lot more mental agility. This is because the lead and the mercury and the cadmium, etc., has been removed from very important areas such as the blood, such as the bones, such as the muscles, and such as the brain. This is why you find people, experiencing these results and these changes, positive changes, relatively quickly. And one of the tools that we use and use very extensively, and I'm very happy and proud to share, is our very own elixir of life. Elixir of life. Elixir of life. It literally is the elixir of life. It really helps you to remove heavy metals from the body. It helps you remove parasites. It helps to remove impurities from the blood, from the tissues, from the joints. And it doesn't only remove the impurities and the bad guys, it also very effectively replenishes the body with essential minerals and nutrients that it needs to rebuild itself. One of the high ingredients of elixir of life, as I said, is silica. Silica is very good at chelating, which is like gathering together the heavy metals and almost putting them together in a pile and ferrying them through into the bowels, into the colon, ready for elimination when you wake up and have your morning elimination process, which would happen every day as soon as you wake up. So when you use the elixir of life, because the silica content in it is so high, it really helps to boost the collagen production. And collagen is required by every single part of the body in order for it to function at optimal levels. So this natural earth mineral is rich in trace elements, it's rich in silica, so it boosts the collagen, it gets rid of heavy metals, it gets rid of parasites. So if you have a lot of cravings or problem with having cravings for sweet foods or sugary foods or eating late at night, this is because you have parasites, and parasites are in water, but also in your gut if you have a diet that's very rich in sweet foods or indeed savory foods. So the elixir of life is very effective at removing those parasites and removing those heavy metals and really helping you to get rid of those cravings, which again will help with your weight loss, because if you haven't got uncontrolled cravings, it allows you to have a much more healthy appetite and a healthier diet, because it's not always being contaminated with the foods that will trigger that negative cycle of, you know, too much sugar, feeding the bad bacteria, meaning the bad bacteria start to overgrow and destroying out your whole of your microbiome, or the balance of your gut, and the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut. So Elixir of Life really helps to, you know, set that process in motion by removing a lot of the impurities, removing a lot of the parasites, removing a lot of your cravings for sweet foods, which will then enable you to have more energy, have, you know, a lot more stronger willpower, a lot more stronger control over your urges. So it contains 15 essential minerals that contribute to almost every organ function, and it helps with blood pressure, helps with blood sugar, helps with cravings, helps with arthritis, both osteo and rheumatoid, helps rejuvenate your nails, helps rejuvenate your skin, and it's exceptionally good at rejuvenating your hair regrowth. So it's an amazing product. That's why it's called Elixir of Life, because it has so many benefits and advantages. And people see the changes relatively quickly because the body is able to recognize the minerals in their natural form. And when it's recognized, it's able to assimilate them and utilize them to the greatest advantage, and very, very quickly at that. Okay, so let's now look at water and weight loss. Water and weight loss is another big area, but I'll just give you a quick summary. When we put people on our lifestyle change program, we help them in all the areas that may come up in the scan. But once we start to target the areas that are showing that they're in a state of disorder or under severe stress, one of the things we always notice is that if the body has a high level or high amount of toxins, bacteria or parasites or heavy metals, the body will automatically go into what we call fat storing mode, because the body has its own protective mechanism. It's got a very powerful self-defense mechanism that protects your body against all level of intrusions, all level of attacks, all level of pathogens, all level of antigens. Your body has a perfect and very powerful and very state-of-the-art advanced defense mechanism called the immune system that protects you in almost every situation and circumstance. It's very diverse at adapting to different situations to make sure it puts the relevant intervention in place to keep you well in order for you to go about your daily activities. Now, one of the things it does, when it realizes, just like we said earlier, when it's not receiving enough water, it will start to store or create its own water reserve. Hence, people have water retention, because the body then realizes that it's not receiving enough water. So it will start to retain the water it has in the ankles, in the hands, in the extremities, or in the legs. This way you start to experience water retention. Again, it's because of your lack of water. In the same way, when the body realizes that it has too many toxins or a high level of bacteria that could potentially affect or overrun or overwhelm the vital organs such as the liver, the kidney, the heart, the lungs, the brain, the body's defense mechanism will go into what they call fat storing mode. Fat storing mode. If you watch our webinar we did on weight loss, how you can lose weight loss naturally and quickly, we talked about your body's ability to switch on and switch off genes. You can actually turn on and turn off your genes based on your diet, based on your decisions, based on your environment. There's things that you can impact your gene and your gene pool and how your genes express themselves. But there's things that you can do that can turn particular genes off, and you can also turn particular or specific genes on. Now, the fat storing gene is turned on when your body believes it's in a state of starvation, i.e. when it's not receiving enough nutrients. You may be receiving a lot of carbs, you may be receiving a lot of bread, you may be receiving a lot of food, but you may not be receiving a lot of nutrition or nutrients. When the body is not receiving a lot of nutrients or receiving a lot of food that has empty calories or empty carbs, the body goes into what's known as a state of starvation. When the body goes into a state of starvation, just like it stores water when it's in a state of dehydration, when it's not receiving the right amount of nutrients, it will go into a state of fat storing. It will turn on the fat gene or the fat storing gene, which means the body now goes into a state of conservation, which is it's going to conserve the energy that it has. It's going to conserve the fuel resources that it has. It's also going to create additional fat storing capability, because if the toxins are too much, the body has to create fat in order for it to isolate those toxins and store them, especially if you haven't got a very good elimination system, i.e. your bowels aren't removing the waste efficiently. The body realizes that the waste that's in the body cannot be eliminated, so therefore it has to store it, but it has to store it in a way that it's not going to affect your day-to-day function. So the body creates fat in order to store these toxins and keep them out of harm's way. When that happens, you could be on a diet, or you could be trying to lose weight, or you could be trying all manner of things to try and get rid of the fat. But if your body is turned on that fat storing gene and it's holding on to fat in order to protect you from yourself, then no matter what you do, your body is not going to let go of that fat. In the same way, no matter what you do, your body's not going to let go of that water when you're in that water retention state. The only way you can change the body from fat storing mode to fat releasing mode is by eliminating the toxins that the body is trying to protect you from. And how you eliminate toxins? By doing a detox. Once you start to detox or detoxify the system and remove those impurities, i.e. using things like elixir of life, getting rid of the heavy metals, using oxyflush to clear out all the waste from your gut, using ultra detox to really eliminate and stimulate the liver to get rid of a lot of the toxins that are stored in the liver, working with the kidney, increasing your hydration to support that process of removing all those impurities out of your cells, out of your tissues, out of your organs, into the bloodstream, ready for elimination, either via the kidney or via the bowels or via sweating or through the skin. Once you trigger that process and those toxins start to be eliminated, the body then realizes two things. Number one, it's now got enough hydration, so it will release the water it's been retaining, hence the water retention will start to disappear. Number two, it will realize that the toxins or the fat that is created to store those toxins is no longer required, because the toxins that it's been trying to store or to protect you from are now being eliminated. So the body will realize that it no longer needs to hold on to fat to keep those toxins, because the toxins have been shed out of the body. So therefore, you will naturally start to lose weight without even trying. So water and weight loss has a significant relationship, a very close relationship in terms of the body receiving the water and in high amounts to then remove those toxins out of the gut and out of the body. And as a result of that, the direct, almost like a byproduct of that incoming water or increase in water relates or equates to the body just releasing the fat, because you'll start to wee out, as you wee out the toxins, as you wee out the water, as you wee out the salt, you'll also wee out the fat. You'll just get rid of it through your kidneys. And people are always amazed how when they do our step one, for example, of our lifestyle change program, at the end of step one, which is like a 3-week, 21-day program, everybody always loses minimum of a stone, minimum, without going to the gym, without exercising, without any kind of dieting, but just through, using the Hearn protocol, the hydration, the elimination, the rest, and the nutrition. So weight loss happens relatively easily. Now the R in our Hearn protocol, H-E-R-N, R is for rest. We have to get you sleeping. We have to get you sleeping, because if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. So how do we incorporate or encourage the body to go into a state of sleep naturally? We do that by, again, increasing the water, because again, once you said earlier that the toxins are released, the digestive system that is working overnight is halted. Instead of it doing all that activity, trying to process food that you've eaten late, because we get to eat your last meal at around 7 o'clock. We increase the hydration that removes all the toxins, all the impurities. You'll find when you do go to bed, you have less interference from an active or overactive digestive system, which will then contribute to a much deeper and more restful sleep. So water has a very, very close relationship with the quality of your sleep, by making sure you have the right amount of oxygen in your cells, in your tissues, and in your brain. So your brain can produce the right amounts of serotonin that the body can convert into melatonin that will enable you to have a nice, a restful and deep, more importantly, deep sleep. So water and sleep are closely related. And one of the things that we always look at is what are the factors that are contributing to people waking up in the night, for example. Waking up in the night is a big interference with people's ability to sleep. When you wake up in the night, you often can't go back to sleep after waking up. So that then begs the question, why do you wake up in the night? 85 to 90% of times, or of the reasons why people wake up in the night is directly related to their water intake. How is that possible? How is that so? Most people will assume that if they wake up in the night to go to the toilet, it's because they've drank water late at night. Not so, not the case, not true. The reason you're waking up in the night is because you are dehydrated. It's because you are dehydrated. How is that possible? Okay, let's quickly look at what happens when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, your body starts to repair itself overnight. 9 o'clock is the right time your body should be going to sleep. Well, 9 o'clock, your repairman for your body turns up with his box of tricks and his tool in his toolbox, and he wants to start shutting down the body to start performing that overnight operation. He releases the hormone serotonin into your body through your brain. Your body converts that into melatonin, and that starts to shut the body down to become like the body's natural anesthetic. So 10 o'clock, you should start nodding off. If you're not asleep by 11, you'll start to find your eyes will start to become red. And as your eyes get red, because the blood is rushing to your brain to start to repair your brain and repair your eyes, and et cetera, et cetera. When 11 o'clock comes and you start to fall asleep, your eyes will form a glue that keeps your eyes together and starts to shut you down. If you look at our video that we talked about sleep last week or 2 weeks ago, you'll see how that whole process of sleep, how it manifests, and you see what's supposed to happen when your body is going into the right levels of sleep or the right stages of sleep. But just for the benefit of today, we'll just skip through to what happens after the body's gone through the whole process of shutting you down, working on your brain, working on your eyes, working on your lungs. Then it gets down to the kidney. Between 1 and 3 o'clock, it gets down to the kidney. When it gets down to the kidney, it starts to repair the kidney. When it gets to the kidney and it starts to put the fluid, it starts to remove the fluid, the impurities from the blood and put it into the bladder, ready for elimination, it discovers there is a weakness. When it discovers this weakness is that the bladder does not have the capacity to hold the fluid that the body is placing into it. Why doesn't it have the capacity? Because the bladder is weak. As a result of that, you'll find that most people will wake up between 1 and 3 and they'll go to the bathroom or they'll go for a wee. The reason you're going for a wee is because your bladder is weak. Why is your bladder weak? The reason your bladder is weak because the two muscles, remember we said that muscles control everything? The two muscles, i.e. the sphincter, called sphincters. You have the upper sphincter and the lower sphincter. You can look this up. The two sphincters, which are the muscles that hold your bladder, have got no capacity, they have no strength to hold the small amount of liquid that the body is placing into it. So therefore, it says, oh, I can't hold it. You get into a panic and you have to wake up. You disturb that whole process of sleep and you wake up and you go to the toilet. So what we do on the program, because we know that this is the case, although people would argue that, no, it's not because I'm not because I'm not drunk enough, it's because I've drank late at night. No, because we know what's going on in the body, we will then put you on the program and increase your hydration. We'll get you drinking between 3 and 5 liters a day as part of your program. So we'll get you to drink more water than you've ever drunk in your life. As a result of this, we're literally taking your muscles, all of your muscles, in particular your bladder muscles, we're taking them to the gym and strengthening those muscles. As we start to strengthen those muscles, their capacity to hold water increases. As a result of this, what people find after the first 7 to 10 days that, hang on a minute, how come I've drank more water than I've ever drank in my life? But yet before I was waking up 3 to 4 or 5 times a night, I'm now only waking up once or twice. How is this possible? Because we've just explained that the muscles that have been weak all this time because of not having enough water going through them have now become strengthened. So when you're going to sleep and you're waking up in the night, it's because you've not drank enough water during the day. Not because you drank at night, but because you didn't drink enough during the day. And if you were to ask yourself, why are you drinking water late at night anyway? The answer is clear. It's because you're dehydrated. It's because you haven't had enough water. And your body knows that it requires water in order to perform its functions overnight. So therefore you would go and get yourself some water. So it's all linked to dehydration. It's very clear. And I hope I've explained it, clearly. So as the body then goes through that process of repairing the kidney, then it goes onto the bowels, it puts all the waste from the body into the bowels. So when you wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock, the glue should then clear away. That's held your eyes together, and your eyes should fall open. And within half an hour, within 15 minutes really of waking up, you should go to the bathroom, you should open your bladder, and you should automatically open your bowels. If, for example, you wake up and your eyes have still got the glue or the matter, or they call it maca, if you've still got the glue in your eyes, that means your body has not completed its full repair cycle. Your body's not ready for you to wake up out of this operation. You've woken up prematurely, or you haven't had enough sleep. Again, when you watched the video last week on sleep, you'll see what's entailed or what the requirements are for the right amounts of sleep. But when you wake up, your bowels and your bladder should open. If your bowels don't open and it needs to have like some tea or some breakfast or some warm water and lemon before they move, that's a sign of disorder. That's a sign of some level of blockage. But again, these are all, we've covered these in other webinars. And these are things that you can look at when you go back and research some of these other webinars that we've done. We go into more detail as to how the body works in order and how it gets to the state of disorder and what you can do to remedy those conditions or those situations. But water is key to preventing you from waking up in the night. It's also key to making sure that you have a deep and sound, uninterrupted sleep. Okay, so we're now into the last final furlong of our presentation today. And that brings us to the question, what is the best type of water to drink? If I got £1 for every time I was asked that question, I would be a millionaire. So I thought today would be the best day for us to cover that as best as we can. So what I've done, I looked at that question and I thought long and hard, and I thought, let me try and put together the top waters that people have considered as the best water to drink. What we normally tell people when they ask us what is the best water to drink, we always answer first and foremost, the best water to drink is the one that you drink. Because we first have to get people in the habit of drinking. If you become too preoccupied with trying to find the best water, the best quality, the alkaline, the hydro, whichever water, you then will procrastinate, and it will still maintain your body in that state of dehydration, because your body is just saying, hydrate me. It doesn't really care at the state that it's in when it's in a state of dehydration. It doesn't care what type of water, as long as you get water in. Once you start to develop a habit of drinking water, then you can then start to look at the types of water or the types of quality of water that will be most suitable for your current situation or your budget. So the first answer we always give is, what's the best type of water to drink? It's the one that you drink. Whatever you can drink, that's the best water. Okay, so now let's look at the different types of water that are available that you can ask us about. The first ones we have, I just kind of listed the top, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of water that people generally interact with. But I set a criteria to really, I guess, judge which is the best type of water and what the best type of water should be able to do. And the main criteria for me is that the best type of water must be able to provide energy and to nourish the cells. The best type of water must be able to provide energy to the cells and to actually nourish the cells, because water is actually not meant to bring things into the body. Water is actually meant to take things away. It's meant to take things away. But the best water is the water that can bring energy to the cells, or to empower the cells to do what they need to do, to eliminate, to process, to regenerate, etc., and to provide the right amount of nourishment to their cells, to the cells. That's the best type of water. So that said, let's look at what we have as the options. We have alkaline water. Now somebody's got their microphone unmuted. Would you mind just checking that your mic is muted, just so it doesn't give that disturbance, if you don't mind? Thank you so much. Okay, so we have alkaline water. Alkaline water, a lot of people ask about alkaline water. Alkaline water has a lot of benefits because it has a higher pH than normal or the neutral pH of regular water. It has some advantages in terms of its ability to help with absorption, help with inflammation. Right, I need to find that person who's got their microphone unmuted. Gloria, I don't know if you're able to help me find that person who they are so we can mute them, because I can't seem to get hold of the controls because I'm on full screen. But somebody's probably got their plates clanging around, probably trying to do their Sunday dinner. They best make sure they save some for us because we're hungry as well. Okay, good. I think they may have sorted that out now. Excellent. So alkaline water has a higher pH than regular neutral pH water. It does have some health benefits and some advantages. One of the things that one of the areas that I feel that alkaline water may fall down on a little bit is if a lot of our clients, especially, they have issues with the stomach acid, for example, and the body's ability to digest food. So if their pH in the stomach or the levels of acid is already quite low, when you bring a high alkaline water into the system, it's going to compound an already adverse environment and make it worse. Because sometimes you need that acidic environment in order for your food to be digested effectively. So when you have too much high pH water going into your body, it can sometimes restrict or impede the body's ability to break down and to digest your foods, especially when you have an environment in your stomach that's already low on acid. You really want to get a little bit more acid. This is why things like lemons and citric acid type foods are very good, because although the body receives them when they're in their acid state, but once the body receives it, it flips it and it becomes alkaline. But the actual acids within that are good for helping the stomach environment to become more effective at digesting food. Then you have hydrogen water. Hydrogen water is infused with extra hydrogen molecules. That's very, very good for detoxifying the body. It has some anti-inflammatory properties. Hydrogen water is very good because that extra hydrogen molecule, hence, H2O, hydrogen, oxygen. The extra hydrogen molecule is very, very effective at nourishing the cells. So that's got a tick because it meets one of my key criteria for nourishing the cells. But in terms of energy, it doesn't necessarily provide energy for the cells. Then we have distilled water. So we listed the pros and cons of distilled water. Depending where you live, it could be better for you than tap water. But if your water in your town or your area is tainted and it's very heavy with heavy metals and chemicals or pesticides, then you may be better off drinking distilled water. Some areas have very good tap water, but it depends where you are. The cons are if you store distilled water, it could be a problem because it has no minerals within it. It can pull in the minerals from the surrounding environment, i.e. whatever it touches, which could include the plastic of the bottle or whatever substance is in the container that's holding it. So you could have some drawbacks from taking additional pollutants into your body that you may not necessarily have had access to. Then you've got mineral water, which supposedly, I say supposedly because I don't believe all mineral water is actually mineral water, which is supposed to come from protected underground water sources, distinguished from other water types because of the mineral levels and the proportions of the minerals, which will be things like trace elements like sulfate, calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate. But this whole calcium, magnesium, they include it in the water because they really want to help to keep your pH of your blood well. But when they build up in the water, especially when you boil this water, this calcium magnesium is what causes the furring up of your kettles. You get these calcium deposits. It starts to cause your kettles to fur up. It starts to cause your water or your baths to start scaling over. This way you start getting the lime scale forming on your utensils. This is because of the minerals that are in the water, along with the other chemicals and some of the other pollutants and some of the other heavy metals. So if that's what it's doing to your kettle and your knives or your forks or your sinks, what is it doing to your arteries? So mineral water doesn't fit the criteria, as we said, for being able to energize and nourish the cells. Then we had structured water, sometimes called magnetized or hexagonal water, which refers to water that has structure that's been altered to form a hexagonal cluster. It's like when water gets into its natural state and it forms those crystals. These water molecules are believed to share similarities with water that hasn't been polluted or contaminated by human processes. So this is like the highest form of water because it's as close to plasma or blood plasma as you can get. And because it's in that crystal state, its ability to provide energy and nourish the cells is greatly enhanced. So we, because of where we are at in terms of our position as solution providers, we've been working for the last 7 years to try and find or create a water that meets all these criteria. And we finally managed to find a water that does that, but we've teamed up with some partners, some really top scientists who've helped to develop this water using some very, very advanced technologies to be able to remove all the impurities out of the water to produce this structured water that it's very, 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 very effective at providing energy and nourishing the cells, but also being able to hydrate the body. If you look up structured water, you'll see how powerful it is and how well renowned it is for what it does. So we've managed to team up with these scientists who've been able to produce this water for us. And we've now been able to make this water available to our clients. And we've now released our very own water called Ultralight Pure Drinking Water. Structured water that provides energy and nourishes the cells, so it meets all the criteria of what we require a very high quality water to do. Now, some of the key benefits that the water provides include helping to increase energy, helps improve concentration and memory because it really gets into the brain, it gets past the blood-brain barrier and it really gets into the brain and starts to nourish those cells because it's really carrying a lot of oxygen and a lot of nutrients to the cells where they're needed. It helps promote weight loss and weight maintenance. So people that are trying to lose weight, because it's triggering that detoxification process, i.e. it's taking things away, it's taking impurities away. So by the fact that it's taking toxins and impurities away, it's allowing the body to naturally move out of that starvation state or that mode where it's trying to protect you from the attack or being overwhelmed by these toxins, which means the body will then start to release fat and it will contribute to you having a better weight management system or support your weight loss efforts. It helps promote better sleep. Again, it's carrying more oxygen to the brain, so it helps you to improve your sleep. It helps supports your healthy immune system. It helps detoxify your body. It promotes good digestion and reduces constipation, promotes longer life, helps improve your skin, complexion, and circulation, and helps stabilize blood sugar. These are all the things this water has been able to do. And if you look on the site, on our website, you'll see some of the amazing testimonials of what customers have experienced, even in as little as, the first 2 glasses. I kid you not, once you start to drink this water, you will never want to drink any other water ever again. The taste alone, really gets past that whole tasting that people have with not wanting to drink water. But then, more importantly, where people have a problem with drinking water because their body actually rejects it, your body does the opposite with this water. It actually craves for it. Somebody wrote in their testimonial that they wanted to just drink a little bit of the water, but once they started drinking it, they literally couldn't stop. It was quite funny. She said it was something like, I think it was soda cream. When she used to drink soda cream or Cresta, when you start to drink that sweet, the taste of it just got you hooked and you didn't want to let go, or you didn't want to put it down until you completed the whole bottle. Okay, they say, according to theory behind structured water, they say vortexing water charges it, allowing it to hold energy. And this energy then may allegedly help recharge the body and hydrate it more thoroughly than ordinary drinking water. this water has proven to do all of the above. And as you'll see from the testimonials, people have confirmed that this water has done that, and very quickly at that. Okay, so penultimate slide of today's presentation. I'm sorry that we've gone over time a little bit, I think because the questions, but the questions were very important. So I do apologize if we've taken up a little bit more of your time. And I'll also take this opportunity to thank you for remaining with us in a slightly extended webinar. I think the information was very important that people have their questions answered. So thank you once again for your perseverance. The last question is, how do I improve my water intake? How do I improve my water intake? So I'm going to give you a few tips on what you can do to improve your water, and then we'll close for any questions. How do I improve your water intake? The first thing we always recommend is for you to find a reason to drink more water. If people don't have a reason to drink water, you'll always find 100 reasons not to drink it, because whether it's because of the taste, or you just not adopted a habit of drinking water, you don't like the taste, or your body rejects it. People just don't like drinking water. And I can understand, and I can totally sympathize why we've actually come up with a water that people actually like and enjoy drinking. So the first thing we recommend people to do is to find a reason to drink more water, whether it's going to be your hair, if it's going to be to improve your skin, if it's going to be a health condition. Health is always a good priority. It's always a good reason to do anything that you wouldn't normally do. If you want to improve your health, 100% increase your hydration or your water habit. So that's number one. Number two, find a water you enjoy drinking. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, you'll do it for a day or two, and then you'll just go back to where you were before. So try and find a water that you enjoy drinking. Then we recommend establishing a daily water drinking regime that you can follow on a daily basis, e.g. a set amount of water. Like I did yesterday, I did 4 liters. I was so proud of myself. I was like, wow, I got to drink 4 liters, because we as practitioners, we don't always get to do the things that we tell other people to do, not because we don't want to, but just because sometimes we're so busy trying to solve problems, seeing clients, dealing with issues, dealing with different conditions. We don't always get the time to do the things that we want to do. In fact, we always say we have to work harder on ourselves than we do on our clients, because it's so sometimes so challenging just with our day-to-day regimes and schedules. We don't always get as much hydration as we'd like to. But yesterday I was able to get in 4 liters, and I was so happy I was able to do it without any interruption, because I guess it was a Saturday, so it's a lot easier. So establish a water regime by having maybe a bottle that you say you have to get through. I got through 2 bottles of my 2-liter bottle, my 2-liter water bottle, and I was really pleased. And I want to try and get back to doing that. I used to do that on a regular basis. I used to do between 4 and 5 liters, but now I'm just about managing to get through maybe 2 or 3. But I want to get back to my 4 liters, which is drinking 2 of those bottles a day. But if you start with setting an amount, i.e. get a bottle, and you fill that bottle up, and you say, I have to go through this for today, by hook or by crook, then you've hit your water target for that particular day. Also, you can set a timer or an alarm to aid you and remind you of your daily intake. So you have a lot of these Fitbits and watches and stuff that you can use or rely on to remind you that, yeah, you got to drink your water. These are little things that you can do, and you can actually make the process of increasing your water a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive, and maybe you can get your children or your partner or your loved ones to do the same, or to remind you, or even have little mini competitions. I used to do that with my wife. We always try and have these little competitions to see who can get the most amount of water in for the day. She always beats me, because obviously she's not as busy as I am. But yeah, she sometimes gets 5 or sometimes gets 6 liters. I'm like, damn, I need to get out to 6 liters. But yes, having a little bit of a friendly competition is always a good way to motivate you to keep your hydration levels up. And there's so many benefits, to doing that. You find you'll wean a lot more. You find your skin will be a lot more hydrated. Your hair will improve. Your eyes will be, less dryness in your eyes. Your eyes will be more healthy, more attractive. You become more attractive even to yourself and to each other. You can also download a water reminder app. They have a lot of water reminder apps that you can download from your App Store or your Play Store to really help you to, you know, keep your regime on track. You can set a target or set a certain amount you want to drink for the day, and then use a reminder to make sure you keep your regular intake intervals. You can also make more smoothies. Smoothies contain a lot of water retaining or water-rich foods. We recommend smoothies as opposed to juices, because if you're having problems with your digestive system, as most people are, we tend to recommend smoothies because they have a lot more fiber, and it really helps to get a lot more nutrients into the cells and to get the bowel action working more effectively. Also, we recommend to get a good quality water filter. If you can get a good quality water filter and attach that to your system, that's always going to be money well spent, and it's always going to help you to feel more comfortable with the water that you're drinking, that you're taking in the highest quality of water into your body, especially during times like now, where health is such an important facet of our day-to-day life. In fact, where it's actually literally a crime to be sick. Because if they see you, you know, visibly being or showing signs of sickness, it's almost like an excuse to say you're a risk to public health, and they can take you away and inject you with substances unknown, and you have to just bear the consequences of whatever happens, good or bad. So it's a really good time for you to really take your health a lot more seriously, and you know, to really be more proactive in utilizing the resources, information, and the tools that are available to you. Okay, drink structured water to reset your senses. Now, drinking structured water, I kid you not, when you start to drink structured water, you will find that even if you drank a bottle in the morning, or a glass in the morning and a glass in the evening, you do that even just for a few days, you'll find that your body will adjust to the taste of the water, because the water is so smooth, it's so light, it's so clean. But your receptors in your body that receive hydration will become greatly stimulated. Your senses will become heightened and reawakened. So if you were to drink the structured water in a day, it's not cheap. It's not overly expensive, but it's not cheap. So if you were to just, you know, even if you're going to ration it by drinking a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening, and then drinking normal water or bottled water during the day, you'll find that your body's ability to assimilate water is greatly improved. This is what some of our clients have said that they've been doing, and they've been seeing some really great results. And when you go to the website, you'll see some of the reviews and what people have said that they've experienced just from having a few glasses. So yeah, drink some structured water, because it really revitalizes your hydration centers within the body. Also, we recommend to do a heavy metal detox. Do a heavy metal detox. You can use zeolite. Zeolite's a very good product for removing heavy metals from your body. You can research that. Zeolite is very good for absorbing and chelating heavy metals. When you then combine that with our elixir of life, the elixir of life will then help to gather them together, but it also puts a lot of nourishment and nutrients into your blood that will enable your cells to become more nourished and enriched with the relevant minerals. So your silica content will increase, which will increase your collagen content, which will help your hair to grow, to start regrowing. A lot of people have given powerful testimonials of how the elixir of life has really helped them to increase their hair growth. It's helped with their nails. They've had amazing testimonials of skin improvements, skin changes, and bones, muscles. So many parts of the body have been impacted by using the elixir of life because of the mineral content. But if you want to do a heavy metal detox, it will allow a lot of the heavy metals, the lead, the cadmium, the mercury, to be removed from your system, which will then stimulate all your organs to work at a much higher level, and also enable you to be more comfortable with having more regular hydration, because the impurities in the water, or that have been deposited in your body from the water, have now been removed. Okay, then lastly, we recommend for you to use foods that are rich in water. So if you can't just get the water that increase the hydration from purely drinking, because you haven't found the right water, then you can start with using foods that are rich in water that will keep you hydrated. Today is officially the first day of summer, so it's kind of like the right time for us to start introducing, these type of foods into our diet more. Things like watermelon, they contain 96% water. Pineapple is 95% water. Cucumber is 96% water. Red grapefruit, again, 90% water. Celery is 96% water. Tomatoes, 94%. Blueberries, 95%. Romaine lettuce, 95%. So these foods are really high in water, and they really will hydrate your body. If you were to eat a whole watermelon, you'll find that it really flushes your kidney as well. So the lady that was having problems with their kidney, these are the type of foods that you can start to incorporate into your diet more, because these will start to really nourish the kidney with the relevant nutrients, and it won't contribute to your 1 liter of water, but your body's still able to receive hydration through foods, because remember, the water gets absorbed through the stomach. But if you've got foods that are rich in water, it allows you to sort of bypass that limit that they've given you of only having 1 liter a day while you're doing the dialysis. But at least you can get water into your system via other sources, which will then prevent your skin from degrading and degenerating as a result of the minimal amounts of water you're able to take in. So these are some tips and tools you can use to increase your hydration levels into your body and increase your water intake through using food as well as water. That brings me to the end of today's extended presentation. I thank you once again for persevering and staying for the full course. I really encourage you to watch it again if you can, because a lot of information has been shared today. It will be shared, the replay will be shared on our YouTube channel very soon, in the next 24 or 48 hours. Please, please, please remember to like or give a thumbs up to the video when you see it. Subscribe to the channel so you can be kept abreast of any future videos that we've uploaded or any future of these type of presentations. And also share. Get this information out there. Let people know that they haven't got to suffer in silence, that there is information, there are tools, there are resources available that can really help them to really take back control of their health and ultimately take control of their life. You haven't got to, live a life of, medication or pain, or, being pushed from pillar to post with all these different specialists who, don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to health. Yes, they know everything about sickness. These doctors, these GPs, they know everything about disease. They know everything about, being unwell. But if you ask them a simple question about health, they'll tell you to wash your hands. That's their best answer. So we really are advocates for, empowering people with the tools and the knowledge that they need to improve their health. We don't want you to be having a life of sickness. It's not necessary. These diseases, these conditions are very preventable and they're very reversible with the right tools and the right knowledge that we really hope to empower or impart to empower you to utilize these, and hopefully you'll share with other people. We use the HERN protocol very extensively: the hydration, H for hydration, the E for elimination, R for rest, N for nutrition. We're here for you. We're here to serve. We're here to make sure we can empower as many people as we can. We've still got a little bit of ways to go. We want to get our 1 million ambassadors or health ambassadors so we can form our own very own global community of health conscious people. So, feel free to come and interact with us. You can interact with us on our socials via Instagram, the same name, Vivo Nutrients. You can interact on our YouTube page where you see a lot of our videos, a lot of our testimonials, a lot of the fun stuff we do is on our YouTube channel, which is again the same name, Vivo Nutrients on YouTube. You can go to our website. All the products we talked about today, Elixir of Life, OxyFlush, the Express Detox, they're all available on our website, vivonutrients.com. Feel free to browse the website and have a look at some of the innovations that we have available on there. Or if you want to contact myself, feel free to email me, edward.vivonutrients@gmail.com. Okay, I think that's about everything for today. Let me unshare this screen and see if we have any questions before we wrap up. Okay, let me stop share.
Yeah, I've got a question, if I may.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
What very good filter would you recommend?
A good filter will be a filter that has as many filtration processes as possible, because it all depends on your budget. But when you're looking for filters, you want to have a filter that will remove the highest amount of impurities. using reverse osmosis is always very good to have in there. I know there are some filters that contain things like shungite, but shungite is normally just one. You want to have at least 3 or 4 different filters to make sure that your water can be free of the most or the highest amount of contaminants. So whatever filter you can find that fits in your budget that can remove the most amount of impurities, i.e. using the highest levels of technology to actually bring about that process, that would be the filter that you would find. I don't want to direct you to one particular one. I want you to do your research so you're fully comfortable. All I'm doing here is just laying the foundation so you have a better understanding of what sort of thing you're looking for. Because obviously your budget's going to be the biggest determining factor. You can get filters that will take literally everything out of the water, but you're looking at spending, maybe tens of thousands of pounds. So the more impurities it can remove would be the better the filter, or the better the filtration would give you the better the quality of water.
Okay. Also, I saw a church sister of mine that I've lost contact with. Her name flashed up on there. I don't know if I could get all of her or pass on a number to her. Her name is Yvonne.
What you can do, Yvonne, yeah? Yes, Yvonne?
Yeah, Yvonne Williams.
Yes, what you can do, Yvonne, you can send her a private message. You can send her a private message while the chat's still open. You can just type a message to her directly, type a direct message to her directly, and she can respond through the chat.
Yeah, if I can, if I know how to do that. All right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to see what I can do, but I lost contact with her.
No problem.
Years,
No problem. It's good to see people reuniting through health.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? I'll go and have a look in the chat. Okay, heading to YouTube after the session. Excellent. Anybody got any questions? Feel free to ask before we wrap up. I'm going to have a look at some of this. Oh, this chat's been really busy.
Can I ask a question again, please?
Go ahead.
Are you taking in bookings for the scan now, or is it after a specific date?
No, we're taking bookings now.
Oh, brilliant. So I can just go online and book it via that or the email?
Yes, you can go online on the website. If you go to vivonutrients.com, you'll see the body MOT health scan and consultation. You can book that online. And then once you've booked it, just give us a call anytime, Monday to Friday, and you can book in for an appointment. We'll look for the available slot for you at the earliest convenience. And yeah, we can get you in, get you seen.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Get you on your way.
So just a question, where are you located?
We're located in North London. We're in North London. Are you in London?
South.
Are you in South London? Yes, we're not as far as the airport. So yeah, if you go on holiday, you travel a lot further than coming to us in North London.
Lovely, thank you.
You're most welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
I do drink a lot of water, but I find that the moment I drink the water, within, say, half an hour, I want to go for a wee. Is that normal?
Not necessarily. That shows there's an issue with your bladder. Do you have any issues with your bladder that you're aware of?
Not that I know of, no.
Is that every time you drink water, you have that issue?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you had that issue?
For as long as I can remember, several months.
Several months. Okay. There's a couple of things you can do. One of them, have you heard of an exercise called pelvic floors?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is start to incorporate some pelvic floors into your exercise regime. Pelvic floors really help to strengthen the bladder muscles. Another thing you can do is practice holding your wee. While you're doing the pelvic floors, you can practice holding your wee. Another thing you can do is increase your hydration, increase your water intake. Do you wake up in the night to go to the toilet as well?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Then yeah, you definitely need to start doing the pelvic floors and start to practice holding your wee and extending the time bit by bit. So if you can hold it for 5 minutes for the first day, then extend it to 10 minutes, extend it to 15 minutes until you feel strong enough to hold it for longer periods. And then you'll find that your muscles are actually becoming stronger and you're increasing their capacity to hold the water. But in addition to that, also increase your water intake during the day. So while you're doing the pelvic floors, you're working the muscles and stretching them as well as strengthening them at the same time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most welcome. Okay, any further questions? You can just unmute yourself and ask away. I'm just going to have a look in the chat.
Another question, sorry. Do you do elderly people?
Elderly? What's elderly?
Yes. All right, okay. Over 80s.
Over 80s, yes, we do. We've had some really good results with some elderly people. What's their ailment? Is there a main condition that they're suffering with?
She had, well, they said she has gout in her two thumbs.
Gout?
Yes, gout. She has water retention in her ankles. She has high blood pressure, diabetes. Yeah.
Type 1 or type 2?
She has anemia. Type 2, yeah.
Type 2. Yeah. We've had some good contacts with people that of that age, especially if are they open to alternative lifestyle changes? Are they open to making?
Yes, they are. They're looking for change and of course a little nudge from us.
Yeah, no problem at all. There's no reason why they can't be helped, especially if you've got young children around them who can help them and support them. Yeah, we've had a lot of results with people that age.
And one more question. I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid in the hands. So I can see there's the changes in the hands. I know you talked about water, and I think I've realized that I've been dehydrated for a very long time, and then things have started to change. I have been trying to uptake my water, but with the water uptake, what is the next step? Is it the detoxing that I need to do, or could you just
Absolutely, yes. The detoxification is key.
help me there?
Yes, detoxification is key because it's going to remove a lot of the impurities that are blocking the water and the hydration from reaching the places where it's needed. So sometimes the cells could be overloaded with other pollutants and other impurities that are preventing the cells from performing their function of removing the pollutants or removing the toxins, or actually even receiving the nourishment, receiving the nutrients. So a detox would always take a lot of the pressure off those organs, off those cells. And they say that rheumatoid arthritis, they say it's an autoimmune condition.
Yeah.
So if you realize, or if you're aware that, I don't know if you're aware that 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So any kind of autoimmune condition is going to be positively impacted by taking the pressure off the immune system, which is situated in the gut, which you will do by obviously detoxifying the gut and that whole environment. And that will then free up a lot of your cells to then come out to repair a lot of areas that have been stressed or come to be in a state of disorder. So yeah, detoxification will greatly help in alleviating some of your symptoms.
Brilliant. Okay, and because I've always also started to do kefir drink.
Kefir,
I'm not too sure if that. Yeah, that's lovely. So I do that every day.
Good. I mean, it's always good to take in. It's always good to take in more nutrients and prebiotics, and things like kefir and kimchi, etc., sauerkraut. But when you take them in, it's always better to clear the environment before you take them in.
Right.
So take out a lot of the bad stuff before you put the good stuff in, because sometimes the bad stuff that's in your system already can overload or overwhelm the good nutrients that you're putting in. So sometimes people think just eating the right stuff or eating the right foods is going to be enough, but it's helpful, but it will be more effective if you were to take out a lot of the bad stuff that's already accumulated in your system that's causing you problems.
Lovely, thank you very much. So it's detox for me.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
God bless you. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, please guys give it a try. Cheap things are not good. Great. Good things are not good. I am going to buy this water. Yes, please do. Once you try the water, you will never drink any other water. I guarantee you. I'm at work enjoying this. I wish I wasn't at work. I miss so much. Is that a question, Julian?
Sorry.
Is that a question? 4 liters is not too. Is 4 liters not too much? No, 4 liters is far from too much. Your body is 70% water, so every part of your body knows what to do with water. At first, you may experience a little bit of bloating as your body adjusts to the increase in water, because it may feel it's a bit strange that all of a sudden it's had no water, then all of a sudden water starts to come in. So it may at first store that water, and that's why you may experience bloating for the first day or two. But after about the third or fourth day, your body will adapt and realize that this water is in regular supply, so it will release whatever it's holding, and you'll find you won't experience any further bloating. Priceless information, extra time has been great. We appreciate it. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap up today. I'm going to thank you once again for extending your Sunday afternoon with us and for persevering through the whole time. I'm glad you found it, or hope you found it of value. I hope the information has definitely been able to inspire you to take action and increase your knowledge of health and your application of SANE to the greatest effect. I am the Juice Doctor. I'm available for any questions. You can email me on the contact details. Feel free to join our Telegram group on Telegram. Just search for, once you've joined Telegram, or if you're on there already, search for the Healing Rooms, Cutting Edge Health, and you'll be able to access all our innovations, all our products, all our top tips. And it's a very, very powerful community, very, very friendly, very, very supportive, very, very uplifting. So if you want to be able to interact with us, you can do that via Telegram, or you can do so via YouTube. Once again, if you do get the video, once you get to see the video, which will be up within a day or two, make sure you like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please feel free to share. Alrighty.
Sorry, can you say what it was on Telegram again?
It's the Healing Rooms, Cutting Edge Health.
Lovely, thank you.
Cutting Edge, all in capital letters. Alrighty, so thank you so much, everybody. Make sure you continue to reach for the higher levels of health. Remember, your health knowledge, your health can never exceed your knowledge of health. So always persevere to increase your knowledge that your health may be right behind it. Okay, thank you so much once again. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm going to spend, you can unmute yourselves actually, and say goodbye or good day. And we will see you on the next one.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Vivo.
Hey!
Have a great Sunday.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, have a great day. Thank you so much, Belinda.
Thank
Shaz.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaz. Thank you so much.
Bye, thank you.
Goodbye, Belinda. Goodbye.
Bye.
Good day. Have a great afternoon. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Love to see some of these people. Awesome, 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 awesome. Winston, you were there as well.
Yeah, that was good. Enjoyed that.
Excellent.
It was really good.
Excellent.
I'll catch the replay as well, you know.
Oh, good. Yes. You get a
Yeah.
lot when you replay. I've got to see how long it is. I don't even know how long it is, but it's a very long one today, but it was
Yeah, no, it was good. It was long, but it was good. It was good. Enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm seeing you next week, right? Am I seeing you next week?
Yeah, Monday, isn't it?
Monday.
Monday,
Okay.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay then, thanks for that.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah?
See you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.